Yes, hi, hello. Welcome back to Gooncast, where we watch a bunch of stupid shit and then talk about it with people and shit or whatever. I don't fucking care. Hey, I'm Saber, James. And, once again, people.
Hi everybody, I'm People. No, I'm Cat, aka the Attack Cat. And yeah, we actually have some good things to talk about, but let's turn it over to my other people.
Oh yeah, my name's Lee. I'm an alcoholic. Oh wait, shit, wrong meeting. What's going on? It's your boy Lee Alder, the Valley Jester, um, horror and fantasy enthusiast, and we've got some interesting statements to make today about the state of technology in our country.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned for our deep our deep insight on this issue.
Yeah. But first,
First we got a brand new guest.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Hecate. I'm a local technology expert here also to talk deeply and philosophically about the state of technology in our country. So
hell yeah.
Very excited to be on the cast.
Hell yeah. Hecate has been mentioned several times before because we talk about JoJo's a lot. We talk about a lot of stuff with Hecate. Hecate joins us for a lot of watch parties. But finally we were like, just come on the podcast.
Hell yeah.
Brave the waters. There's no more running.
Yeah, and look on the bright side. Your first episode is not trash like it was with Ghoul Guts.
I'm really excited actually for all of these.
At this point, making Golgut suffer is like an Olympic event for us.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to see something good and talk about it on this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, occasionally we let him, but we also make him watch garbage like Conjuring 3 and Spiral and Fear Street and Bye Bye Man.
And in fairness to us, it's not like we actively tried to make him watch terrible stuff. It's just the stuff that we're like, hey, we're excited to see this with you, ends up being terrible.
It's his stand power. He just attracts really shitty films.
It's also funny that you mentioned that, because the other day Ghoul Guts was talking to me and he was like, yeah, so my girlfriend found this really, really terrible movie and she wants you to watch it. And I was like, why? And it was like, because you've subjected us to all sorts of terrible shit like Texas Chainsaw. And I was like, I didn't tell you to watch Texas Chainsaw. You saw it before I did. And he's like, oh, really? Oh, I'm going to have to correct the situation with my girlfriend.
What's the movie she wants us to watch though?
I don't remember. I'm gonna have to look it up because it was something. He said it's something really, really terrible and
amazing.
Yeah. I'll suffer for Mikey.
Yeah. I'll make sure he's on so he suffers with us. Anyways, what are we talking about?
We're talking about how technology develops and the movies we make around that. So
we're talking history.
Yeah. We've got some fun movies to talk about here in that regard. They're kind of very loosely connected.
Very loosely.
The first one is one that like we had plans to see originally very soon afterwards because we were big fans of at least the writer's previous work. But then, life happened. We had to put it on the back burner. But I had been so excited, I already rented the movie. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to watch it with my husband. And we watched it, and I was like, man, do I have thoughts. And I don't want to spoil them for anybody here. So the first movie we all watched together was Mathregan.
Good old Mathregan. Better than Matugan.
So yeah, what did y'all... So, I mean, as context, obviously, we here at the Gooncast, big old Malignant fans.
Oh god, we fuck with James Wan like 80% of the time.
Yeah. And Akela Cooper is the writer behind Malignant, both the script for Malignant and the script for Mathregan. I'm not really 100% sure how we want to kick this off. I guess we can give a very brief, like, what is Mathregan about?
It's child's play, but with a real doll.
Yeah. It's the Child's Play remake, but not as ass, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not as bad as the Child's Play remake. I don't know if Lee or Hecate, you've seen the Child's Play remake, but Kat and I saw that in theaters. We wanted to go in with an open mind, because it was like, some people were liking it, and it's like, Mark Hamill is voicing Chucky. That's a solid casting choice right there.
Absolutely.
Bear McCreary was doing the score.
Yeah.
And then we watched the movie, and it was fucking dog water, dude.
there were some creative kills, but
Yeah.
that was basically it.
Yeah.
All the movie had going for it. Everything else around it was like, why is this even a Chucky movie?
Yeah.
I don't understand. The whole point is that the doll has the personality of an IRL serial killer, not that he's just a malfunctioning doll.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mithrigan is basically a malfunctioning doll or a malfunctioning AI, but because it's a new IP, it's not, I don't know, the movie shouldn't have been Chucky. It should have been Mithrigan.
Now hold on. Now hold on. What if Mithrigan was voiced by Brad Dourif?
Oh man, 10 out of 10 right there. I would have liked the movie a lot more.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, Brad Dourif is fucking, even when he's in garbage, he fucking kills it.
Criminally underrated actor.
Yeah.
He's real good.
Yeah, so Megan is a new movie going in the Child's Play vein of toy that has come to life and goes on what should be a killing spree. I'll elaborate more on that a little later. And it's trying to play a lot with the idea that we dip into quite a bit of, how far can we go with technology before it becomes a problem, and a little bit of the Skynet formula. And Megan did not, in my opinion, what I'll start our topic with here is Megan suffers from a gigantic identity crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Of it does not know whether or not it's wanting to commit to the idea of being in the vein of Child's Play, or maybe more of the films that James Wan and Akilah Cooper are known for.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't know whether it wants to commit to that idea or be more of like a slower, atmospheric, like, dare I say, maybe even thought-provoking kind of piece.
Yes.
Because they could have gone further in that direction too. Like, if they wanted to kind of like pull back on the horror and maybe play more into like the idea of psychological independence between Megan and the child that she what was the phrase they use for how they like attune to each other?
Oh, primary user.
Yeah. So maybe they could have played more with the emotional, like, attachment there.
Yeah, and they touch on it in like really interesting ways, but they don't, like, not interesting enough, you know what I mean? Like, where they kind of start to get into like, is she a replacement parent or not? Like, what are we trying to even do here? But they kind of, again, like you said, it has an identity crisis where it just like, it doesn't want to commit to either. It's like, oh, but let's do the campy doll murders first.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah. So like, so everyone's up to speed. If you have not seen any trailers or anything for Mithrigan, the story centers around a young girl named Katie, who's played by Violet McGraw, whose parents are killed in a car accident, and she's put in the care of her aunt Gemma, played by Allison Williams from Get Out, who is another case of one of those actors who's just probably bringing way more to this than they should. And they have a very troubled relationship. Katie's traumatized from the death of her parents in the accident, and Gemma does not know how the fuck to child. So she's a woman of her job. She's a developer for a very influential toy company who is like on the verge of making their next big release, but she's working on something behind the scenes. She's working on a powerful learning android, because if you work for a toy company that's got like fuck off Bezos money, you bet your ass you're making cyborgs. And so Megan is developed, and she's meant to be that robotic companion that every kid needs when they're at that phase of their youth when they feel like nobody wants to be their friend, that they're not understood. And so Megan is kind of like a perfect fill-in for someone like Katie, who's going through trauma and doesn't have the people that she loves anymore. And it's also a convenient way for Gemma to fuck off her responsibilities of raising this child that she said she was going to raise. And we start to get a little bit of the atmospheric slow burn. Something about Megan's not quite right, and we start to go into a lot of the tropey, eyes shifting when the doll is shut down kind of, shenanigans. But again, I feel like there's kind of like the tonal crisis that we're experiencing with this. Is this trying that hard to be a horror movie? And when you've got a living, breathing, sadistic doll, don't you want to be as campy as possible?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I found myself just very confused with what the movie was trying to deliver.
Same.
Yeah.
It has a lot of ideas, and it seems to just kind of scratch the surface level on those ideas. And even though elements of the film kind of try to take their time, certain elements feel rushed or even contrived, I think. Like the very first violent sequence with the dog, it felt very the situation that led up to it just felt very contrived for me, just because it's like, okay, yeah, you have this next door neighbor, she owns a dog, and there's a hole in the fence, and they keep establishing that the dog like keeps going on Gemma's property, and Gemma's not too happy about that. And the neighbor's like, why don't you fix the hole in the fence? And me sitting there as a dog owner is like, why don't you fix the hole in the fence? Because you're a dog owner, and the last thing you want is your dog getting out and getting hit by a fucking car, or attacked by a coyote, or getting lost, or anything. So it's like...
getting murdered by an android.
Yeah, so like, I mean, like, sure, they want to do, like, the animal murder thing, because that's what horror movies do, but it's like, you could have set it up differently. Like, I don't know, maybe the dog is a fence jumper, because that is a thing that can happen. And maybe the ball or toy or whatever, it went over the fence, and Megan climbs over the fence, and Katie climbs over the fence after Megan, and that triggers the thing. And then that can be very much it's provoked, as opposed to there's this fucking hole in the fence.
I feel like there were a lot of missed opportunities for Megan to act out on these like expected violent urge. I don't want to say urges, because it's not like a thing of passion that way, but there would have been more opportunities for Megan to do things like that in a more unique way because of her relationship to Katie. So like, okay, hole in the fence, we're all seeing it coming. Yep, the dog is going to get like pulled through the fence with a musical violin stinger, you know? And I'm thinking, no, why not? The dog gets spared, and like the woman gets pulled through, and then like, you know, Megan uses the hole in the fence to like, you know, decapitate her or something. And you spare the dog because Megan wants to teach Katie a valuable lesson about responsibility and what it means to take another living being's life in your hands. And she was irresponsible as a dog owner. And then you're also kind of like working a creepy angle of like, maybe Megan's talking about how she takes care of Katie. So just like, I don't know, you could have done some more interesting shit than just kill the dog.
Yes.
I mean, yes, I'm always going to be looking for opportunities to not have animals in movies just be killed off for shock value.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it for comedic value. Shoot the cat in the Boondock Saints, okay?
Oh my gosh.
But I don't know. It needed to go deeper, damn it.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Like, even though like the bully's death scene was fun, the bully felt ripped out of a Stephen King novel for how just immediately bully-ish he was.
Please. Talk about the kid who went to the King School for Bullying in Maine.
Yeah. And like his death was, I mean, we watched the unrated version too, so like keep in mind there's a PG-13 version of this cut. And the handful of gory moments are fun, although they're like not as fun as they could have been. So I can only imagine how tame the PG-13 version was.
Yeah. I ended up watching because when it first came out, only the PG-13 version was available. So I've watched both, and also apparently Akela Cooper has posted on Twitter about like that the studio basically had them take out a lot of scenes in the script that were much bloodier and, you know, more gruesome. So and that just kind of, you know, brings me to like, why? Because I watched this movie and like, you know, one of the big things that you're expecting from a killer doll movie is creative killer doll murders. And instead, like, they're all very bloodless,
Yep.
very tame, very, like even watching the unrated version with you guys, I was like, this isn't that much more extreme than the version I saw. Like, I think the dog owner's face melts a little bit more, and like you don't even get any more shot of the kid. There might be a little bit more blood for the elevator scene, but like,
Yeah, I think
that's
it's
it.
like the age-old problem of movie studios going, we want more money, so let's release it as PG-13. Like, all those PG-13 slasher movies that were coming out in like the early to mid-2000s, where it's just like, it's not why people go to see a slasher movie. Like, not saying that PG-13 horror can't work, because there's plenty of great PG-13 horror movies.
Yeah.
But certain genres, you don't, like, that would be trying to make like a zombie movie that's PG-13. You go to a zombie movie for the zombie gore.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you go to a killer doll movie because you want to see a killer doll. You want to see fucking creative slasher kills.
And I mentioned this to Hecate before, because I watched Megan, and then I ended up watching a romantic comedy that released on Amazon Prime like shortly after. I think it's called Shotgun Wedding. It's the like yeah. And they had more graphic kills in the romantic comedy I watched than in Megan.
Beautiful.
Some guy gets like sucked into a helicopter and like pureed, basically.
That's what Megan needs.
Megan needed a helicopter. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, just all of a sudden, like, a propeller comes out of her head and just starts slicing people up.
I think
why not?
Like, there were a couple of I feel like there's a lot of wasted potential for Megan's, like, not just her sadism as this like detached android AI thing, but also like her ability to plan and do things that no human can do. Like the one kind of interesting thing was like, oh, like she punctures this gas canister. Like, I almost wanted her to set up these like fucked up Rube Goldberg machines.
Oh shit!
Where it's like, she does like the Sherlock Holmes thing where she's like and like connects all the dots, and then like the people step on the thing and it does the thing and the thing flies across the room and like decapitates.
So
like, she could have been
like
smarter,
not even connected to her at all. It's just like, there was just this thing set up. Whoever, like they left that rake there and that pesticide there. That's how they got the internet
in her brain. Yeah. Let her use the whole...
Yeah, there's some good opportunities there. Like the dog owner's on the ground and like begging for mercy, and Megan's looming over her. And then Megan goes like, just hold on 1 second, and has to like pull up Google in her head and look up if a certain chemical will melt human flesh.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's yeah.
All right, we're gonna start writing Maforgan.
Maforgan.
There is a Mathregan 2.0, I think.
Yeah, and I don't like the title already. The fact that it's 2.0, like, fucking stick the 4 as the A. God damn it, you fucking cowards!
Come on, do it.
Yeah.
It's all I want. It's all I want. God damn it. But let's see. I personally was I wanted it to go either more camp or more serious, because I liked the things they were touching on with Gemma and Katie's relationship. I liked how that started to like evolve or to get poked at. But there wasn't really enough to chew on, and which was a little bit, I think, disappointing from the writer of *Malignant*. I still think like she delivered a compelling script. It just wasn't as off the wall as I had hoped.
Yeah.
Because also, like, back on, and this was not directed by James Wan. Also, I think he might have had some hand in like the money for it or something like that.
He helped write it and produced it.
Yeah.
But the director was Gerard Johnstone.
Yeah, so like he does have some, he does have his fingers in it a little bit. But, the thing I loved about *Malignant* was that he fucking got my letters about like, oh my god, please make another Dead Silence. Like, that's all I want, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so you already did the sort of doll murder thing, even though it was like murder puppets instead. But it's just like, yeah, just go further with that, or I don't know. I feel like there's so many more creative things you could have done with AI.
Yeah,
it just like didn't. And you know, maybe this is also part of the whole like that AI kind of has exploded on the scene in recent months. So maybe, you know, the stuff that I'm seeing now and being like, oh god, she could have done this and this and this is like stuff that they weren't really considering when they were writing this movie because they wrote it before that happened. So it might just be a matter of like not quite timed correctly kind of thing, right? But at the same time, it's just like, you know, I mean, I really loved like Megan's mannerisms. Like every time she was on the screen, I was having fun.
Yes, the young lady that played Megan was so good at emulating that like that perfect middle ground of like, oh god, it's obviously not a living thing, but it moves just organically enough that I fucking hate it.
The
the only
and I love her voice. It was very GLaDOS. It was very
Megan got around a big hurdle that I feel like we need to acknowledge, which is it didn't from like the character did not fall into that uncanny valley territory of like looking at you is really unnerving and pulling me out of the experience. Like it looked just fucking real enough.
It wasn't that Twilight baby.
Yes. I never got pulled out of the movie by like, oh god, there's just something really like improperly done with that fucking robot. No, it worked.
I love every scene that she's in except for one, and I don't blame the actress. I just blame the either the direction or the writing, and that's just her interpretive dance before murdering the executive.
When she starts doing Squidward's dancing.
Yeah, because it just felt way too intentionally memey up, and the movie hadn't been that up until that point. I mean, we did get Megan skittering around on the ground all creepy like, which was great, but like that dance, I was like, fuck off, man. Come on.
Yeah, Megan bear crawling through the woods is one thing. Yeah. Megan doing a full 180 baby is not what we needed.
Yeah, that was just really like I wanted the movie to be more malignant, and I missed James Wan's direction. And the times when it kind of got into malignant territory, it was great. But like again, that dance scene just really felt like fucking let's appeal to the TikTok crowd and get memes for like reactions or whatever.
It felt like the trailer shot, which it was.
It was.
That was 100% how they sold the fucking movie. And so many people were excited to see it because of that stupid dance shot in the trailer.
If the entire movie did that, like, I don't know, she fucking angry dances in front of everybody she's about to murder. Okay. I could be I could be
amazing.
On, but the fact that it's like a one and done thing, I'm like, all right, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
I'm now pissed off that Megan never once T-posed to assert dominance.
That would have been great. Just imagine her angry dancing in front of the dog. And the dog gets pissed off and runs out of the runs through the fence. That's how she pisses off the dog.
That would have been amazing. I mean, they kind of hinted a little bit at the like, oh, she's a child's doll. She's like a little girl plaything, so she does little girl things like sing songs for her primary user. So it's like they could have incorporated that more. It felt weird that it was like that one dance scene and that's it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's maybe what they were trying to go for, is just like, it's what would a girl doll do? And then it's just like, she's gonna dance, but also she's gonna murder you.
Yeah, I just do more of it or not at all, god damn it.
Yeah.
TikTok post to TikTok to assert dominance.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yes. She has a share button.
Yeah.
Yes. See,
can you imagine
the
ideas? The viral marketing that they could have done for Megan if it was just like there were like 6 different dance scenes and they're just posting like 30-second TikToks of Megan dancing, and that's all of their trailers.
Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, like
opportunity.
Oh my god.
I mean, yeah, we keep bringing up Malignant, and Malignant I adore so much. If you have not listened to our episode on Malignant, please go back and listen to it. We absolutely cherish this film.
Well, hold on. We're all biased towards Malignant. Hecate just saw it recently. Hecate, do you agree that Malignant is like
that
the
movie
greatest?
Fucked.
Yeah. All right.
That movie was absolutely incredible.
There, you have a new person telling you to watch Malignant.
Go watch *Malignant*. I mean, it's stunning, and then listen to the podcast episode on it. But my God,
Yes.
it knows what it wants to do, and it nails it, and it's delicious.
Yeah,
just a delightful fucking romp.
Since this isn't our episode on *Malignant*, I don't want to give away the third act in this episode, but it has a bonkers, literally you can't see this shit coming third act that goes absolutely off the rails. And that's what Megan, I felt, was building up to.
Yes.
Because we're building up to this big product reveal. It's the third act, and they're gonna show off Megan for the first time to the public. And there's a big room of people getting together, but it's not big enough. And douchebag David, who's the head of like the R&D department, is like, no. Yeah, he's like, we need to get more people in here. Damn it, get some chairs and pull some other people in here. And I'm nodding at my monitor, going, yeah, get some more victims in this room. Megan's gonna fuck these people up, and it's gonna be broadcast on TV because it's this big product live stream. So like Megan murdering this room of people is gonna be splashed on the internet. Like that's where we're going in the third act. Nope. She dances and kills two dudes with
and then leaves in a Tesla.
Yeah, with a blade for like cutting paper.
Yeah.
And then gets in a Tesla and drives off.
Yeah. And
and then the ultimate climax is kind of what it should have been, right? Like I don't feel like the end of the movie was inappropriate.
No, it wasn't.
Ultimately the thing they were building to was that it was this conflict between who Katie's caregivers should have been, which was, her now mother figure, former aunt, like who just didn't want the job, and this AI she built to like shirk her responsibilities, and Katie kind of coming to effectively overthrowing her AI to say like, no, I actually do need to get better and not just like that's what it should have been. But we did need that like nice juicy third act opener of just Megan destroying everyone.
yeah, and
that's what it felt like it was setting up to too.
Yeah,
like that felt like such a setup, and then it was just kind of like you get one of the like actors or people they hired off the street to fill the crowds screaming, and then all of them screaming, seeing the bloody elevator, and that's it.
Yeah. I also wish we had a little bit more set up with Bruce. I know they did the whole Chekhov's gun thing at the start where they introduced the Bruce robot, and then they didn't discuss it again until the end. But I think maybe
Bruce.
One more scene in the middle could have like helped establish that just a little bit better, outside of just, hey, I have this other robot that I somehow built in college, even though it's like this multi-million-dollar fucking robot.
Yeah.
I love that we find out Mithrigan is part of the Real Steel extended universe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even if you made Bruce more of a character, like maybe he's a bit defunct and like old, but like, maybe he helps run her lab or something.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of like, maybe he's always in the background when she's working, but he's not really like, you kind of think he's just like, he's not as advanced as Megan. And then then the third act reveal is that, oh no, he actually does have all this stuff. It's just that, we're not forcing him to do that kind of stuff. We're not pushing him to his,
maybe even like
that.
Maybe even like using him in like experiments to like as sort of like a proxy, where it's like, I'm using Bruce to build Mithrigan because like
I mean,
he can maybe handle things more delicately. I don't know.
Yeah, I do think you still need the like that Megan doesn't know about him aspect.
Yeah,
like I do think there's still, because otherwise there becomes this element of like, oh well, maybe she tries to like corrupt him to her side or something like that. But like, so I do think the surprise of like, oh fuck, there is another robot and it's stronger than me. Is it's still needed. Oh.
No. Sorry. We have this like opportunity when Lydia, the therapist, comes over and is like, "Oh, like play with some toys." Like literally, Bruce is the one thing that Gemma is like, "Oh, he was kind of supposed to be a toy." She's like literally all these collector's items around. Is like, "Oh, I'm just gonna fucking like stab open this box in 1980s. Like, no, like have her like explain why this 9-year-old can perfectly operate Bruce by having a scene where she plays with the one robot, and then she gets the upgraded robot Megan.
There it is.
Yes.
That would have been great.
Yes.
You also could have had like a reaction of Lydia being like,
I was just about to say that it's like that's the perfect opportunity for the therapist to be like, no,
this is not a toy for a toy.
This is not how you raise children.
That's my brain cell. Give it back.
No, it's mine now.
We both can share.
It's just just I'm imagining her horrified expression of seeing like this 9-year-old girl playing with this 500-pound robot and is like, bro, no, stop it.
Well, her stupid fucking reaction to I hated that character so much. I liked a lot of the other characters actually. I know that maybe that's a hot take because some of them were a little flat, but Lydia in particular is like, I'm a therapist, but it's also like just kind of a dick. Like, I guess she's a state-funded therapist, so maybe.
Yes.
I thought most of them were fine, but
I feel like you could have gone further with her or like less far with her because she felt like
the perennial problem with this movie.
Exactly. She felt like this weird middle ground where like she's really worried that Gemma is not the right caretaker for Katie, and she's like, hey, she does have these grandparents that are trying to get her, like maybe you should just give her to the dad's family kind of thing. But then also she like didn't give enough of a shit to be like, you absolutely cannot experiment on this child in your care, you know? Like,
Here, have the robot.
Yeah, it was just like you either need to make her completely fucking oblivious, or you need to make her the like, you know, like mustache twirling, like I'm going to take your child, kind of therapist, you know, like.
Yeah, that was something. So actually, to that end, you mentioning the parents, this is a bit of a tangent from that, but that and the corporate espionage thing with Kurt, I feel like there were a couple of loose. There were some Chekhov's guns that were not fired, that were just like arbitrarily like dangling feet over the fire for certain characters that didn't need to happen. Like if we had entirely cut the corporate espionage thing for the executive assistant, no skin would have been lost. If we had taken out the parents from Florida, like I really feel like there still would have been pressure for Gemma to get her shit together. I just don't understand.
You know,
I feel like there were a couple of things.
On that note too, you also could have kept the parents and made them actual characters and made them victims of Megan because they're trying to take Katie away from Megan.
Yeah.
You could have had some fun with that too.
Yeah, exactly. Instead they were just like an offhanded comment, and then we all kind of went, oh, so there's grandparents still somewhere? Like, what's that all about? And the movie was just like, ignore that. Like,
don't worry about it. Maybe we'll bring it up.
You were here for doll murders. We're not going to give you those either.
It doesn't matter. Look at Megan dance.
I think another thing that really bummed me out. So I really liked Gemma as as like an engineer in over her head, not a ton of specific like applied social skills outside of her work. I thought that was kind of interesting, but I think the like putting the you mentioned this earlier, Kat, like the mistiming on AI and like this like corporate overlord, like Funky being this place of, I mean, obviously a stand-in for big tech, but it's like we didn't really dig into that, so it didn't end up. It was like this vague psychological horror backdrop, but we didn't ever get like any of that. And Megan simultaneously like has, I mentioned this earlier, she has the whole internet at her disposal, but mostly she just like rips people's ears off and bear crawls along the ground. I feel like there was this weird social commentary that just like didn't go anywhere. And I feel like if they had, and this is one of the, you know, not to get too much into Malignant, but one of the things I like about Malignant is there are like social entities around. There is like the police station and the hospital and so on and so forth, but they're just kind of there as props. And I don't know. Funky was Funky, the toy company was posed as this cosmic horror of a corporate entity, and then didn't do anything.
Its introduction in the movie is the commercial where it's like, hey, did your pet die? Here's a pet
are we
that
the
will
fucking
never
worst?
die.
Yeah. That's one thing I mentioned in our watch party too.
Yeah.
It was like the second the movie starts, it starts with this cute, adorable beagle that's dead within 10 seconds, and I'm sitting there holding JoJo. I was like, well, this movie already pissed me off. Fuck you.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, is like, it's like these commercials, it was very fun, and it was like, oh cool, this is setting the tone for the movie, that there's going to be this like cartoonishly evil corporate entity that like has something to do with what's happening in this, you know, maybe something to do with the setting, and then it just like doesn't pay off at all. It's just like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an asshole boss breathing down her neck, not to do AI stuff until it becomes profitable to him, and then he flips a switch and is immediately like, yeah, let's keep doing it. But it's never like a like, oh, they figure out that Megan's killing people and they still want to push the toy out, or like
Yeah.
it's never anything like that. It's just kind of like it just things keep happening, you know.
I
Yeah.
also don't remember the line that Megan said, but like I remember bringing up during our watch party that I wish it went like even more schlock with the fucking like final quip from Katie when she like
Mm.
destroys Megan or whatever, because like in
Mhm.
Child's Play, for example, you know, right before Andy lights Chucky on fire, Chucky's like, wait, no, Andy, I'm your friend to the end. And, you know, 5-year-old little Andy Barclay is just like, this is the end, friend. And it's like, yeah, it's cheesy, but it fits with this sort of schlocky-esque horror movie and whatnot. And it's like, I wanted that, where like, because Megan said something to like Katie, like right before Katie like ripped her in half. And Katie just
Mhm.
rips her in half without saying anything. No! Give me that fucking schlocky action one-liner. God damn it!
Mhm.
I'm spending the $6 to rent you. I want schlock. God damn it! I want more
we have
malignant.
high expectations here on the Gooncast.
Yeah.
I mean, considering the dreck we've sat through, I just want schlock, man. I just
Yeah.
want schlock.
I will say, like, I very much want Akela Cooper and James Wan to keep writing together, to keep making
Yes.
stuff together. I just want just fucking whoever's giving them money, whoever, you know, whatever production company, just let them cook. Like,
Yeah,
shut the fuck up.
and that
Don't interfere.
that and like maybe I'm assuming James Wan didn't direct Megan because he's busy with Aquaman 2.
Yeah.
So like wait until James Wan is done and just let James Wan direct it,
Mhm.
because I want to say that with mostly the same screenplay, the movie probably would have been a lot more fun under Wan's direction. Nothing against
Yeah.
this movie's director. I haven't seen his previous film, which I heard was all right. The Housebound, which is a
Oh.
New Zealand horror comedy. I have
Uh-huh.
not seen that, and I heard it's all right. But like, yeah, it's got it. I mean, here, like, we can't necessarily trust Rotten Tomatoes on the Gooncast, not necessarily because critics dumb, but you know,
Yeah.
critics gave
But
Fear
critics
Street
dumb.
like 90%.
Yeah,
And-
they
and-
gave Fear Street like an
Yeah,
upsettingly high score,
and we were like,
yeah.
what the fuck is this shit? But like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. It is an indie horror movie. It could be good. But like, I know and love James Wan's direction, even if I don't necessarily completely vibe with the movie.
Yes.
Like, I do
Yeah, like,
remember
I've
like when I
never-
first saw Dead Silence, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, and Death Sentence as well. I don't know if you've
Oh.
seen Death Sentence.
Dead Silence.
I have, yeah.
And Death Sentence is its own fucking thing. But like, even when like James, he's an ideas man. He's got a vision,
Yes.
and he can have fun with shit. Like
Mhm.
even like, I have no interest in Aquaman, and I hear mixed things about Aquaman. But some of the fight choreography in Aquaman seems really, really, really fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aquaman kinda. Well, I'm not the biggest fan of Aquaman. I have seen it. It's okay. It's like very mid for a superhero movie, which
Sure.
is, you know, not saying a whole lot, but
Yeah,
it's mostly just like, I don't know.
I-
Maybe
I-
Aquaman 2 will be better since
Maybe.
the character's established, but also isn't the DC universe getting reset? Like,
Oh,
is Momoa
fuck.
still
That's-
Aquaman? What's
he's-
happening?
the new Aquaman is still coming out. After
Okay.
that, nobody knows. The DCEU is in flux, where it's in this weird state where it's in the process of being rebooted, but some stuff might carry on into the new rebooted universe.
Right, because Flashpoint paradox. is
Well,
happening.
yeah, that and
Yeah.
just based on reception or whatever. Like,
yeah. Well,
there's-
I mean, the in-universe explanation for it is
the
yeah.
in-universe explanation.
They're going to be
Flashpoint.
able to be like, oh, we can pull from wherever. Henry
Yeah.
Cavill could come back, maybe, but probably not. And
Probably
you're like,
not.
"Alright."
And it like not as somebody who doesn't give a shit about superhero movies anymore and doesn't want to see
Mm-hmm.
any superhero movies anymore, DC really did Henry Cavill dirty.
They did.
I want everybody keeps doing Henry Cavill dirty. Give him stop fucking him over.
Yeah.
The man was like literally willing to set aside so much time to do every season of The Witcher, so long as they kept to the books and they kept deviating. And he's like, no, fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that certain deviations need to happen for, transitioning the medium and everything, but the things that they were so insistent on changing, bless Henry for bless him for standing his ground as best he could.
Yeah.
Because good God, those changes were dreadful. I am a Witcher fan. I've read the books. I like the games.
Yeah.
I suffered through all of the first season and got 2 episodes into the second season before I dropped that shit immediately.
Yeah, that was me too, basically.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, they killed off a pivotal character from the franchise for no reason. It's just like, oh, you're doing that. Got it. I'm out.
Beautiful. Yeah, 10 out of 10. Yeah, just
I have no like previous affinity to The Witcher at all, but the first season was like okay. It was fine. I liked some things they did. I liked the like storytelling, the style they did, where it was kind of like converging timelines. But I got like 2 episodes into season 2, and I was just like, you know what? I think my interest in this show is over.
Yeah, basically. I think though the moral of the story is just let James Wan direct more weird shit.
Yes.
Liberate him from big budget schlock.
Absolutely.
Let him do lower budget schlock. Let
him make his big budget things to make a shit ton of money.
Yeah,
then turn around and make a bunch of like.
Yeah.
Let the man do his money work so he can make his art.
Yes. There's also been talks, like long talks about doing another fucking RoboCop, and some of that has been like, oh, we want to do like a direct sequel to the original movie and ignore the other stuff. Just I don't care what it is. Just let James Wan do RoboCop.
Oh,
hell yeah!
Oh, that'd be cool.
Okay,
that'd be cool.
Just like we want to reboot Terminator again. Fucking let James Wan do Terminator. Fuck it.
God,
I trust a James Wan Terminator at this point.
I would. Give fucked up robots. I'm down for it.
Yeah, we want to do another Child's Play remake. Let James Wan do it. We want to do a new Halloween movie. Let James Wan do it. Let him do Friday the 13th. I don't fucking care. Just let him do anything.
Oh,
Slap him all over the place.
Give me James Wan overseeing the remake of Wishmaster.
Oh, there you go.
Oh my God.
Give me that shit.
Oh my God.
There you go.
He'd be great. He'd be great at that.
There you go. Yeah. James, just let him do more shit.
That franchise makes me very angry. I've told you about this, right?
I'm pretty sure, but please
probably not on the podcast, so do it.
Yeah. I love like oh God, what's his name? The actor who plays the Djinn.
Oh yeah.
He's like a Russian guy.
I'll dig it up real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember his name offhand.
Well, but so first of all, like I have not watched the ones after he left. Andrew Divoff.
Yes.
Andrew
Divoff.
I have not watched the ones after he was no longer Wishmaster, because what's the fucking point at that point?
That, yeah,
like no, thank you. But I remember, I think in the first movie, he gets cornered by like a mall cop or like a like some beat cop who yells "freeze."
Oh yeah.
And he treats that as a wish, and I'm like, no, like, and he freezes the cop, and I'm like, that's not what he meant. Like, it was a command to you, not a fucking wish for himself. No, like,
womp,
oh, we're just playing Calvin ball out here with our fucking wishes, huh?
Very, very, very loosey goosey with the rules.
Oh,
yes.
It was, yeah.
Yes, it infuriates me. Anyway, but with like James Wan at the helm and like consistent behavior for wishes, I'd be down for that. So.
You know,
there needs to be some rules for these wishes.
There's gotta be some rules.
On that note too, because he only produced it and he didn't direct it, I really wish, and this is tying back to fucking season 1 of Gooncast, I really wish he directed that Mortal Kombat movie that came out a couple years ago.
Ooh,
That would have been
good.
that would have been
I mean,
fucking fun.
the Mortal Kombat movie that one was still fun.
That
The
was
main
fun.
character sucked.
It was
but-
fine, but like I still have the problem where outside of the Sub-Zero fights, I just wanted the fight choreography to go farther, and I wanted the villains to maybe
Sure.
be more than just, hi, I am X villain, and then I die in like 2 scenes later with like no development. That's like one of the things about like the original MK is it has a bit more flesh to the like fleshed out like fodder villain characters who just die or whatever. Sub-Zero is great. Like Sub-Zero is fucking horrifying and scary and shit like that.
Yeah, they made him very menacing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Also,
Well,
also
if
more
we're- if
Cage.
we're getting
Give me more Johnny Cage.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. We should be getting the second one probably late this year,
Ooh, okay.
maybe early next year. At least from the snippets that I've read. Yeah, they've confirmed Johnny Cage, and I mean, since they made Sub-Zero such a big presence in the last movie, they'd be foolish to not do Noob Saibot.
Yeah.
And if Sub-Zero was that scary in the first movie, holy shit, the things they could get away with Saibot. Oh my god.
And if you're gonna bring in Sub-Zero 2, Sub-Zero's brother, cast the other guy from the Raid. Cast somebody else from the Raid.
Just yeah, there you go.
Just
Ooh, yes.
I don't know if you guys have seen much of the Raid, but just god damn.
Oh
it.
yeah.
I've seen clips. I've seen good fight scenes.
The Raid fucks.
So good.
The Raid, that's what I wanted the fight scenes in Mortal Kombat to be. I wanted it to be the Raid. Because the Raid is just, it's so well choreographed and it's so well shot, and it has that brutality of just, of the martial arts scenes that I think to some degree was missing in Mortal Kombat outside of a handful of scenes.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Okay, so we've gotten a little bit away from Mithrigan. Do we want to
tangentially related, but still.
I want Mithrigan as the new guest fighter in the next Mortal Kombat game.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay,
Fuck yeah.
all right. Circle it right back. Perfect.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, everybody?
Great concept. Competent group of people that got together to bring the vision to life, but the vision was a little cloudy. I would like it to either be much more sinister and brutal or more cerebral and emotional and thought-provoking, not caught in between like it is. I rate it a Ma5gun out of a Ma10gun.
Excellent.
Hecate?
Yeah, I can do like a rapid fire of things I liked about it from like a tech perspective.
Yes.
Okay, so can we start with the fact? So one of the things that's funny about robots is that they're fucking worst to work with because it's like all of the problems of software development and all of the problems of hardware development, but together. So some things that were actually surprisingly accurate were, one, the demo never works when the boss shows up. Two, well, there were. There was the fucking thing where they said a bunch of tech mumbo jumbo like words that like were sort of relevant but not, but like that's whatever, it's a movie. When Bruce trips, I cannot emphasize enough how common that is in like robotics development. Like getting the fucking robot to walk correctly is unbelievably hard. Humans are really good at walking because that's like a whole complicated thing, but I really appreciated that Bruce tripped, and that like on the one hand it was comedic, but on the other hand like working with robots is like funny and sad at the same time. It's funny because they look dumb and they're human like, but also it's sad because it's your robot and it's like very expensive and it just fell over. The fact that like the boss knew absolutely nothing about technology but like could be bamboozled into like, oh, it costs this much relative to Tesla, and he's like, oh yeah, that's good, and like palpates his chin, I thought was good. I thought they did a really good job of caricaturing like the tech development process. Even though they didn't have any actually like meaty scenes with it, but there were 3 or 4 things there throughout that I was like, oh yeah, like this is like weirdly apt. Also, I mentioned this in the watch party, but the choice of if you do watch the movie, the choice of the Windows like error for the door opening sound was a very cursed choice that I really appreciated. I don't know why they did it, but I am glad that they did it. So
Fantastic.
A lot of things I liked about the movie, even though I agree with sort of all the other points of it really just didn't know what it wanted to be, and it should have gone kind of in either direction and put the budget there, and it probably could have nailed it, or just let James Wan direct it, as we were all saying.
Yep. Beautiful. Good stuff.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I think I had a lot of thoughts about it as I was watching it with Will that like have definitely percolated for a very long time. Again, my biggest complaint about it is how bloodless it was, both at a PG-13 and at an unrated. I think that was just a huge missed opportunity on a lot of fronts. And yeah, just the fact that a horror movie got outplayed by a romantic comedy the same week I watched it was kind of just like very comedic to me. I think I might rate it a little bit higher than Lee, maybe like a 6 out of 10, but like just because I really liked I liked the kernels that I got of what they were trying to do with the relationship to AI and the relationship, like basically like learning to connect with other humans. So there were things where I was like, that's a good idea. It's not going anywhere, but it's a good idea.
There's a skeleton there that really has some potential, but
yeah. But you gotta put
there's
some
no meat on
it.
this sandwich. Yeah, we need some meat on this sandwich.
Yeah. James?
Yeah, it was alright. It's worth it's a fine watch, I thought.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. I didn't hate it.
It was better than Child's Play.
It's a fuck ton better than Child's Play remake.
Yeah.
100% hands down. No
Yeah.
question. I wanted more from it. I am disappointed in it, but we'll see how the rest of the year plays out. But like,
True.
it's fine. It's serviceable. It's better than fucking Conjuring 3 and Spiral. And the Bye Bye Man and Fear Street and all the other shitty horror movies that we've watched.
I need to put it on the podcast that Conjuring 3 was so bad that the other day we literally forgot it existed.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Kat completely forgot that we watched The Conjuring 3.
I did. I genuinely did. I
was
just like,
that was a film.
Oh god.
That was a film, and that we watched, and I was offended by immediately, especially because they fucking rip off the Exorcist shot. 2 minutes into the fucking movie.
2 minutes in.
Fuck you, Conjuring 3.
Yeah.
That movie also needed James Wan's direction, but we got Malignant instead, so I am happy.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of
game development, though.
Yeah. Developing technology while like, someone oppresses you. Let's talk about Tetris.
Yeah. So, I forgot that this movie was being a thing until like the trailer dropped, and every single time I tried to get somebody to watch the trailer or tell somebody about the game or the movie rather, they all thought it was the long rumored video game movie of Tetris. The one that kind of got announced like that got announced in like 2014, where like we're getting invaded by aliens who are like Tetris blocks or some shit. One or two of them are sitting here.
Yeah. So for complete transparency, I did not know this was actually a film about the making of the beloved video game until I sat down to watch it with these fine people. I thought it was going to be some weird Pixels bullshit.
Yeah.
And for completer transparency, I also thought that, and also because this was like the 4th or 5th movie that I watched with the Goons, and we've watched a lot of really good movies since we watched Tetris, but before we watched Tetris, I don't know that we watched too many good movies together. So I was like, we only watch bad movies. Okay, that's fine. So I was bracing myself for a Friday night of Pixels.
Yeah. Believe it or not, based on our track record, we actually don't always intend on just watching schlock and podcasting about it. The schlock just happens to find us.
Yeah.
We started with this. That's how we opened the episode. Yeah. And we've watched great movies since. I've loved everything. Well, Mithrigan was okay, but
But basically everything since has been really good.
Yeah. Yeah, so the long story short is this is a very truncated and semi-fictionalized account
Yeah.
of the true story of how Nintendo is able to license the video game Tetris from the Soviet Union, which I was familiar with the story beforehand. I saw a documentary about it, very, like, I think it was like a half-hour documentary on G4 years and years and years ago. This is back like 2005, 2006. I was like, oh, this is a very fascinating story. And then, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, gaming historian who's a YouTuber put out like this hour to hour and a half long documentary about the making of Tetris and like how it became a thing. And that is a great little piece of like like YouTube documentary shit. And when I realized that this movie was going to be adapting that story, despite the fact that there was some obvious fictitious shit in the trailer, like the car chase, which we'll get into.
Oh, we'll get into it.
I was like, okay, if this movie is at least like the slightest bit faithful to the actual like how shit went down, this could be a really good movie. I already like the cast, and I've watched this movie 3 times in total.
Oh shit!
So like I
Nice.
really liked this movie, even though it's not perfect. It has some schlock, although I've kind of made peace with the schlock. Because like I love schlock, but not when it doesn't fit within the tone of the movie, or like, you know, everything leading up to it. Like if I want schlock, I want it to be like malignant schlock. The whole thing is schlock. I don't want to watch like Titanic and then like the last 30 minutes is like fucking.
And then the one guy beams himself on the fucking
propeller.
propeller.
Yeah, or like sea monsters come up and start fucking up the ship or whatever.
Yeah,
I really fucking like this movie.
Yeah, this was a great surprise.
Yeah.
When I found out what it was gonna be, 5 seconds before James hit play, I didn't have super high expectations because I didn't know how faithfully they were going to want to tell the story. I understood the broad strokes of the hoops that people had to jump through to get Tetris to be released worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know all the little intricacies. I knew the Soviet Union was involved somehow, and my brain was going, okay, they're either going to try and take this super seriously, or they're going to really lean hard into Soviet Union bad, no, you can't have game, filthy Americans. And they found actually a very pleasant middle ground. It was like the opposite of Mithrigan.
Yes.
I'm glad that this one took the middle route and did it perfectly, instead of going to one of two extremes.
Yeah. I think for me, because I did want to watch this again before we podcasted about it, and I ran out of time basically.
Stop being so popular, Kat.
I know, and also there's
stop playing
so many video
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah. But so I remember it in like little moments here and there that I really liked or really had a problem with. So like, okay, first of all, something hilarious that I found out via Twitter, like right before we started watching, was that in the opening scene, there's like a kind of a montage, a bit of a setup where like our main character, Taron Egerton's character, whose name I
Hank
have
Rogers.
up, Hank. Thank you. He's talking to his banker, his like financier. He's trying to get him to like give him a loan to buy the rights to Tetris for handhelds, I think, at that point, or maybe it's just for console at that point. Okay. So, but he's going through and he's talking about like video games, basically. Like, what's the state of video games currently? And there's this little montage, and they show clips from a bunch of different games, and they mention Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and the clip that they show from Punch-Out is from the Game Grumps.
Well, there's that too, and also they mentioned The Legend of Zelda, and the clip that they show is from a Game Boy Advance Legend of Zelda game that came out 20 years later. So it's like
Okay.
it's
fine.
I mean that's one thing, but the other thing is that like they stole a clip from a popular YouTubing channel that like
It's
might have a right to that.
It's fine.
You can tell because they left the orange bars on the side of the cliff.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
awesome.
Although Aaron seems pretty chill with it. He quipped
I
about it.
I hope they give in to his demands.
Yeah. Same.
What are his
just-
demands?
God, hang on. I have to look it up on Twitter. But he
Okay.
responded being like, "You guys just need to do this one thing, and then we'll be cool."
Something like that, yeah. For the most part, I was also very surprised that the movie was fairly accurate to what game dev is.
Oh yes,
Mm.
that was another one of the like little moments I wanted to mention was that when Hank goes over to Alexi's his name, right?
Yeah.
When Hank it finally goes over to Alexi's apartment and like he actually shows him like the original game for like the original game of Tetris, and Hank makes a suggestion that like, oh, why can't if like I have multiple rows gets like filled at once, why does it only delete the first one? And then Alexi's like, oh, because I didn't think about that. And he brings up the source code and starts like typing stuff in, and Hank's just like over his shoulder, like kind of like backseat coding.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ooh.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah. And also like the there's a scene early on in the movie which is true to life where Hank goes to Nintendo of America and they show him the Game Boy, and he's one of the few people who is aware of the Game Boy's existence. And it's a dev kit of the Game Boy. And it's not like, okay, I'm going to boot up the program and it immediately runs on. It's like, no, we actually see him doing a little bit of coding to get it to work on the Game Boy. And he even's like, look, it's not a perfect thing. This is just like, I'm adjusting it and forcing it to work here. But like, you'll get the idea. And it's like, it's a strong little scene that I greatly appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated when it was actually like trying to be like true to life and everything like that. Since I'm familiar enough with the story of just Hank being like, yo, if you want to ship like a few thousand units and appeal to little boys, package the Game Boy with Mario. If you want to appeal to everybody and sell millions, package it with Tetris, which is a very, very smart, forward-thinking move. One thing, though, that I wish that the movie included, but I get that they had to like truncate stuff considerably, it was that in real life, Hank already had a partnership with Nintendo way before he pitched them Tetris. In fact, that whole Go game that he was pitching at the Consumer Electronics Show, that was actually specifically because he knew the president of Nintendo was a huge fan of Go. And that's how he got his foot in the door, was he was like, hey, I can make an NES version of Go. And the guy was like, okay, yeah, do it, make it. That's how he got his foot in the door.
Interesting.
When he first pitched Tetris to Nintendo, it wasn't Murakawa, I believe the president of Nintendo's name was at the time. Let me just quickly look.
I thought it was Yamauchi.
Arakawa.
Yeah,
Arakawa.
it was.
Yeah. Arakawa. Yamauchi is another member of oh no, Yamauchi. Yeah, you're right. Arakawa was the president of Nintendo of America. Yamauchi was the one of president as a whole. Instead of having Yamauchi play Tetris and him being like not bad, Yamauchi passed the game off to Shigeru Miyamoto and was like, "Let me know if this is a good game." Right?
Huh.
And Miyamoto came back a couple days later, and Yamauchi was like, "Hey, so is Tetris a good game?" And Miyamoto was like, "Yes, it's a good game." And Yamauchi was like, "How do you know that?" And Miyamoto was like, "Because your second secretary and the people in accounting are playing it right now instead of doing their job." And that is what got Yamauchi to sign off on, like, yes, I want Tetris.
I wonder
awesome.
if the bit when the like the not the KGB overlords, but like the Soviet like whatever the hell his name is, he comes and is like, "Hey, I wanted to meet the man who's responsible for the downfall of the Soviet Union." I wonder if that was a reference to that specifically.
It might
like,
that
actually happened.
That kind of was. They apparently they had to build software to actually like prevent Tetris from being played on various different computers because people. It started off as just this small scale, almost God, I can't remember the name of the term, but like game jam. It was basically a game jam thing of just software programmers just making games, and that's how Tetris came to be. And just it became super addicting and spread like a wildfire throughout all the various different offices within the Soviet Union. In fact, there was apparently one medical facility who the owner was a friend of Alexei's, and he asked for a copy of the game so he could study addiction. And the game became too addictive that he had to ban it from the company, but it still found its way back into the company. Like, it was just insane. But one of the things that I really appreciated about it was just how it kind of showcased that, you know, Alexei was very much screwed over for the most part. Of just, he's not getting any money, he's not getting anything about this thing. It didn't really touch the fact that he wasn't really concerned too much about that, but it did touch on the fact that Hank wasn't okay with it. And that kind of ties into like their bromance and everything like that, and the ending, which is kind of this really strong bromance thing of him helping Alexei's family emigrate to the United States after the fall of the Soviet Union and everything like that, and them forming the Tetris company. And it's a very, very heartwarming movie.
Those of you who have been faithful listeners of the Gooncast know your boy Lee, he loves a good bromance. And oh boy, yes. Are Hank and Alexei wonderful.
Yeah.
They are so cute.
Yeah. It
took me a while also, but I did find Game Grumps' response to... They said, we promise not to sue. In exchange, we need Sir David Cheeseman to secure the role of Elton John in Rocketman 2. Please reply at your earliest convenience. They added Taron Egerton for that.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Love it.
And
also, gotta say, Taron Egerton, fucking fantastic in this role.
He was great.
He did so good.
Like, you know, obviously he's great in Kingsman. He was fantastic as Elton John. But just as this kind of like scrappy salesman who just gives a gigantic fuck about this video game in the 80s.
Yeah.
We're just pulling for him so bad.
Yeah, just risking like literally everything. And a lot of elements of that are 100% true to form. Like when he was told after, you know, he explained how fucked the contract was to the Soviets and everything like that, and they were like, okay, we'll renegotiate with you. When can you come back? Like, and everything like that. It's like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying here until I get the contract, or I'm leaving without it. Like, I'm not going home. And even with like the secrecy too, and some of like the Atari shenanigans that were going on at the time, since Atari and Nintendo were kind of in this brutal legal battle going on at the time, because Atari, a lot of publishers at the time were very upset with Nintendo's strict mandates for the NES, but Nintendo was very concerned about repeating like what happened with the Atari 2600, where there were anybody could release a game on the Atari 2600, which is what led to the video game crash of 1984. So Nintendo had like their strict policies about you had to order X number of cartridges. Your studio or publisher could only produce like, I think it was like 2 to 5 games a year. So you actually had a lot of companies creating subsidiaries so they could like get around that rule. And Atari wasn't thrilled with that. So what they ended up doing was they went through some loophole within the US copyright system and managed to get the copyright documents about the NES lockout chip. And then they reverse engineered the NES lockout chip and started releasing bootleg cartridges. And that started this whole fucking legal battle between Atari and Nintendo. And like if the end result was Atari lost the case because they kind of like fucked up, like they did things unscrupulously. But like if they had reverse engineered the code legitimately, then it would have been fine. But because they based it directly off of Nintendo's patent or copyright or something to that effect. And it even included unnecessary code that was eventually like phased out in future lockout chips. Like it was just a direct 1-to-1. That's what ended up fucking them over. And the fact that they loosely touched about that, about how like Atari's selling bootleg cartridges, like this movie is doing a little bit more research than despite trying to truncate everything than your traditional Hollywood biopic and whatnot, and I did appreciate that. It doesn't excuse the car chase.
Yeah, so there were a couple of things that, so the car chase was the big thing that took me out of the movie. Like the first, when it happened, that was the only moment of the movie where I was like, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, there was no car chase.
It felt like an Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I should have been hearing like da 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 like the whole time it was happening. It was like, oh, evil, like, I was just like brought right back to fucking whatever. The other thing though, very minor thing, but it was something I noticed in the movie, and I don't think I said anything at the time, but the Russian lady, who I think it was the translator originally, who like turned out she was actually working for the bad guys. So she has a moment in the movie where basically like she starts going against like the main like villain of the movie, and he like turns around and snaps at her and calls her a whore.
Yeah.
And she tears up in that scene. Like she doesn't start crying, but she definitely gets like very like, okay, that's like, fuck you, dude. And then every scene after that she was in, they still had like the menthol tears to make her tear up.
Yeah.
So like it was like, basically like a 20-minute car chase later, she shows up at like to arrest him, and she's teary-eyed, and I was just like, come on, y'all.
Yeah. That reminds me of the first time I was watching Fast 5. And there's a scene where like Vin Diesel and some other dude are talking, and then the big Hummer pulls up and The Rock gets out, and he just showed up and jumped out of his car, and he's drenched in glistening sweat on his muscles.
Beautiful. So
it's genuinely just like, okay, props to the continuity guy, but also like, continuity guy, maybe sit this one out.
Yeah.
She will not be teary-eyed for 30 minutes.
I do know that her character was completely fictitious. Like, he did have translators and whatnot.
Sure.
And he never knew if somebody that he was like speaking with or whatnot was working with the KGB.
Mm-hmm.
He does know that there at least was one person, because there were some instances where the people at Elorg were directly quoted stuff that he said in private to someone else to him. So
actually,
he knows that, but like,
I'm also gonna say that like her she raised a random flag with me, as well as like I kind of already knew she wasn't a real character, but I'm also wondering if I'm off base here, because her name is Sasha.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Sasha is not a feminine diminutive in Russian. Sasha is a masculine diminutive for Alexander.
Yeah, it could be.
So no, it is.
No, like, I mean, like,
interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know if there is a feminine version of Sasha that is commonly used in Russia, but as far as I am aware from like what I have studied of Russian names, it's not. Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like, maybe there is a feminine version, but like I haven't heard of it. But now that you mention it, like I'm.
So that was like the one thing that I was like, clearly they did a ton of research and like were really careful about the like game development and like the the actual like kind of like corporate espionage-y parts of the movie, but they kind of dropped the ball on like a very basic like and someone, if somebody out there knows for a fact that like no Sasha can be a feminine diminutive in Russian.
I have known
I will eat crow, but
I knew a girl named Sasha, but I think it's just one of those things of like, I've known men named Kelly.
Yeah. Sure.
It's like I think strictly from a language standpoint, you're correct, but
yeah, it's hard to say.
Do we want the definitive answer on this, by the way?
Do you have the definitive answer?
I do. It's unisex because it's also
is?
it's a diminutive of Alexandra as well as Alexander.
Oh,
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
all right, there we go.
Sorry, my guy.
Say something earlier. Like,
We're learning
To be
shit.
clear, I learned this 30 seconds ago, and I was like, I am curious what this is diminutive of, and Wikipedia is.
Because you know what? Now I'm gonna be mad retroactively at myself because I got told by a teacher for naming a female Russian character Sasha in a story that I was wrong. So fuck you, my past teacher.
Yeah, fuck them.
Yeah.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
Straight to jail. Straight to jail. I do appreciate like some of the other stuff with like the Belikov character. You know, like his power play of being able to speak English the entire time.
Oh, Belikov was great.
The movie postscript
that
doesn't.
was hilarious.
The movie postscript doesn't really get into it, but like a little bit of a more of a happy note is Belikov was actually the third co-founder of the Tetris company, and he owned 50%, and Alexei and Hank owned the other 50%, and then I think about 10 years later, Belikov sold the other 50% to Hank and Alexei. So like
Awesome.
even he made out like a bandit after the fall of the Soviet Union and everything like that.
Well,
But like a lot of that stuff, especially with like fucking over the Maxwells, who were just complete shitheel pieces of garbage.
Or Robert Stein trying to fuck over everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Of just like a lot of that was really, really accurate, and I especially appreciate the fact that they touched on the fact that Robert Maxwell was swindling his own company and stealing from a pension fund.
Yeah, it was a surprisingly interesting like for how kind of like, you know, comparatively low stakes it was. Like, they tried to add a car chase in to like spice shit up to make it seem like life or death, but it's like it's ultimately like, no, this is just a big corporate like. But it's so interesting. It was, I think you described it as like the Social Network, but for games.
Yeah.
And like that is 100% like what it felt like, where it's just like, yeah, there's a shit ton of stuff at stake for these particular people, and you feel the stakes because of that. But like ultimately, it's not, you know.
Yeah, ultimately, it's very, very small scale. It's just about some stupid video game and who owns the rights and who licenses the rights and
it's something that like on paper sounds like the driest fucking shit you can sit through, but you know, they did a really, really good job of dramatizing that without needing to go like to extra dramatize it, even though they still did, which I'm a little bit disappointed in.
It's the power of just a good script. I mean, you can have a movie that's just all about like the bureaucracy and the negotiations and stuff, but if it's engaging, like again, one of my favorite Godzilla movies is Shin Gojira, which is just it's a fucking episode of The West Wing with a sock puppet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and that stuff can be really interesting. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, to that end, I really enjoyed, and I think this is kind of gets at what I didn't like about the car scene, is that it felt like unnecessary drama in an extremely tense thing. Yeah. You know, the stakes were low, but like the set of scenes where they are like doing it's almost comedic, except it's really tense, where they go back and forth among the three meeting rooms of like the guys like, oh yeah, shut the fuck up, I don't care anymore, walks into the other room, says, hey, I learned what a computer is, slams the thing down, and like then walks out, like that constant revolving door over those couple of days. And like the fact that they're physically trying to beat somebody to the punch, and it's like, oh, you have a week to do this, the thing like that. I really enjoyed that tension, and so yes, it's small potatoes, and the car scene was unnecessary, both because you're too schlocky for a fairly campy movie, and also because like I was already on the edge of my seat trying to like rooting for this scrappy American to like pull through with his bromance buddy.
Yes.
Yeah. Their bromance is so fucking strong. I really love the chemistry between just Taron Egerton and Nikita Efimov. I'm sure I probably mispronounced that. The guy who played Alexei. Their chemistry in the movie was really, really, really strong, I felt.
Yeah.
And especially just them just bonding over code. Like the whole thing about like assembly and whatnot.
Oh my god.
And completing each other's sentences.
True to life. I have strong opinions about programming languages, but we have the same strong opinions, so we're gonna get married. I was like, god damn it, like this is real.
Yeah,
We're
it's
gonna sing Final Countdown by Europe in your weird, trendy underground
Jesus,
club.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta bring up what I think is going to be a very controversial take here on the Gooncast, and I'm going to brace myself for possible blowback from James. Movies absolutely need to stop using "Holding Out for a Hero" by Bonnie Tyler.
Oh, at this point, yes. I mean, I liked how the fact that it was used in the movie, but it's kind of this thing where like when one movie does it, everybody else tries to copy it.
Yeah, because Shrek 2 kicked ass.
Yeah,
Shrek 2 is
exactly. Damn
yeah.
right.
And
I
mean,
mean,
of all time.
But
Yes.
just in the past less than a year, in the last 365 days, we had Tetris, Super Mario Brothers, Shazam 2, and Bullet Train all
Okay.
use Holding Out for a Hero.
I haven't seen Shazam 2 or Mario.
Used it too.
I appreciated it in Bullet Train and here just because of the fact that it's like a foreign language cover and everything like that.
Oh, this
But-
one did it the best.
Yeah. And but like, yeah, I definitely would get sick of it if I heard it again in like Shazam 2 and Super Mario and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
kind
gonna
of
say my favorite application of Holding Out for a Hero is not even from a movie. It's from a pair of YouTubers who used to make like Battlefield troll videos where they just like drive cars like laced with explosives into their teammates and blow them
beautiful.
up. And yeah, it's wonderful.
Oh, my favorite usage was James after a few too many blue moons playing Illbleed.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that was my favorite usage as well.
Oh my god.
I got lost in the maze and I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to blast Bonnie Tyler's Holding Out for a Hero. I know my bot is getting muted. I don't care. I'm just fucking exploring this stupid maze in this Dreamcast horror game to Holding Out for a Hero. Yeah, I mean, I definitely appreciate that. That's not, I wouldn't even say it's a hot take. Just like,
Okay,
once
good.
you hear it
Alright.
multiple times in like a short amount of time, or even like in some cases seeing the same actor or just the same thing done countless times. Like I think I remember there was one year in the mid 2000s when Jude Law was becoming like a hot ticket, and there were like 7 different movies with Jude Law as the lead coming out within like, I don't know, a 6-month span. And I was like, look, I like Jude Law, but this is getting a bit ridiculous, right? Like there's some other actors you could fucking cast. Or
well, man, once Hollywood like sinks its teeth into somebody that they're like, ooh, this person's profitable. Like we saw it with what's his face, Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
He's like still in that right now, where you're just like, shut up, I don't want to see him.
That's
in anything
hilarious.
anymore.
As soon as we're done recording, I'm gonna watch a movie starring Timothy Chalamet.
Beautiful. Yeah. It's the same thing with concepts or songs or whatever. Like there was even, I still remember when I was working at the movie theaters, and I was so disgusted by this because it was clearly just awards bait shit. Where, because I worked at an art house movie theater, so we mostly got like the art house independent shit. But in the span of 3 months, we had like 9 different movies about the Holocaust.
Oh, God.
And it just felt
Jesus.
really, really exploitative. Of just like, look, there's a lot of history there, but it's very clear that this is just all trying to get like awards bait shit. Especially when some of them come out and they're like kind of torn apart and they're very mid or whatever. And I'm just like, this feels really uncomfortable, you know?
Yeah.
Or
well, we know your very extreme views on the boy with the striped pajamas or something.
Oh yeah.
That everyone shares, by the way, because even I think the Holocaust Museum came out
hold on.
like, this movie is fucking trash.
Hold on, Kat. We got robot voice for you.
Oh shit! Really? Do I have to? Okay, I'll be ready.
This is what the behind the scenes looks like, Hecate.
Yeah, for sure.
This is
sure.
the
Love
magic
to see the
happening.
Sausage getting made. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can say anything now because it's gonna get cut.
No. Oh, okay. Your Discord might have crashed. Hold on.
I need a hero.
Yeah, I do have spicy takes in the boy in striped pajamas.
I mean, yeah, exploitative history films do.
Well, it's specifically with its ending.
I see.
I've been over this on the cast, I think, before, or at least I've discussed
Yeah, you
it
brought
with
it up.
Kat. But so basically, like, it's based off of some children's novel or whatever, and the whole idea of the movie, which is fine, is like, evil in like racist views is like
Oh my
kind of
God.
taught and everything. Hey,
Hey.
all right,
Is it back?
it's back. Before we get into it, I'm explaining to Hecate my hatred for this movie that you mentioned, which I've
Okay.
mentioned before.
Okay.
So basically, at the ending of the movie, the little Jewish boy who's in the concentration camp. The premise is like a Nazi, the son of a Nazi commandant and a Jewish boy in a concentration camp happen to become friends through the fence of the concentration camp. Fine,
Okay.
yeah, whatever. So the little Jewish boy towards the end of the movie is like, I can't find my parents. I'm scared, and it's like, okay, this is pretty bad. And it's realistic and it's horrible and shit like that. And then the little Nazi boy's like, oh, I'll help you look for him. And he manages to dig a hole under the fence to break into the camp, and the camp is heavily implied to be Auschwitz. And then to disguise himself, he dresses in the quote-unquote striped pajamas, which is like, the prisoner garb.
Sure.
And this leads to a scene of him and the Jewish boy and a bunch of other Jewish people being rounded up and fucking gassed to death. This entire ending, just to kill both children, hinges on the idea that a small 8-year-old child can break into a concentration camp. Fuck you. I'm down for downer endings. I'm down for historical films that are like bleak and fucked up, and like, yeah, it's important to talk about it, but like, fuck you. This is not realistic. An 8-year-old boy is not fucking breaking into Auschwitz. God damn it.
I mean, so probably what I was trying to say before the robot voice made it incomprehensible was that like the Holocaust Museum actually has like spoken out against like the original book and the movie as like grossly inaccurate and disgusting. And fun fact that the author of The Boy in the Striped Pajamas is also the same author that was getting roasted online a couple of years ago, because in his latest like historical fiction novel, he referenced like he just Googled how to make red dye and got like the way you make it in Breath of the Wild.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
And then put that in his like fucking historical novel. So literally, it's like, oh, you mix like she mixed red Lizalfo tails and like.
I love it. I am vindicated. I am vindicated. All right, all this is staying in now because I'm vindicated.
He's an idiot.
Beautiful. I love it.
Allegedly, I guess, so we don't get in legal trouble, but
Allegedly.
I am vindicated. Yeah, it's
yeah, no, you are not alone, Jam. Many people have wised up to he sucks.
Yeah, like again, like as I was saying, I'm down with downer endings, but when stuff feels exploitative or just depressing for the sake of being depressing, fuck you. Mm-hmm. It's like the I don't know if you've ever seen it, Hecate, but there's this movie called Remember Me, right?
Oh God!
And all right, it's a romantic melodrama. Right? And it stars Robert Pattinson and a bunch of other people I can't fucking remember, right?
Yeah, okay.
At the end of the movie, like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes before the end of the movie, Robert Pattinson goes to visit his father for some reason, right? And, he's in his father's office building, right? And the camera pans out, and you realize that he's standing in the World Trade Center, and the movie cuts to black, and 9/11 happens, and he fucking dies.
What?
Yeah. The movie used 9/11 as a plot twist. No indication.
No build-up.
No build-up that this was a period piece. There was like maybe some subtle hints every now and then, but like
not one.
Like yeah. Again, surprise 9/11 is like.
This movie came out in 2010. For those listening along at home. So what the cinnamon toast fuck? Who uses 9/11 as an ending?
Yeah.
The 9/11 appeared out of nowhere like a wrestler doing a run-in with a steel chair to like.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and I was like, this is the most offensive
the downer
shit
for a rom-com. Like,
this is like eat shit. God damn it! Like it's if you
Jesus
wanted
Christ.
like make it more blatant that this is 2001, or maybe base it on like a real fucking romance about a real fucking person to make it like if you're gonna fucking do this shit. But good God, what the fuck is wrong with you, Hollywood?
Yeah.
You fucking goddamn soulless fucking ghoulish parasites, you pieces of fucking slime. But yeah, I mean, long
Okay,
story short,
speaking
they
of-
just fucking like copy the same shit over and over and over again.
Final thoughts on Tetris?
I loved it. Go watch it.
Mhm.
Car chase is schlocky and it does take you out of the movie. I've kind of
Yeah.
I've accepted it at this point. It's a fun, well executed car chase, but it does not fit in the movie.
The car chase for me is akin to the sheriff's death in Color Out of Space, where it's just like it's like a small blemish on an otherwise pretty nice clean product.
Yeah.
So
I think the movie was super tonally consistent. I think they really knew modulo the car chase. Just have that as the asterisk. One of the things I really appreciated about it was how they spent their special effects budget. I really dug the like digital editing for the introduction to certain crucial characters. I really appreciated that at certain moments, and I thought this was actually a good choice in the car chase. But like when they have the collision and it like pixelates things, I thought that a little bit was like a really nice touch.
That was cute.
Yeah.
I liked that the characters were, I mean, they were almost pastiches of themselves, right? Robert Maxwell was this cigar chewing like capitalist, and Kevin Maxwell constantly saying like, "Don't call me Kevin, it's Mr. Maxwell." You were like fucking whatever, but like, I really appreciated that as like a helping you to sort of remember everybody. Everybody felt all the characters felt like very thoroughly outlined in my mind, and I liked the writing for everybody. I loved it. Go watch it. Yeah.
I want to double dip on something Hecate just said, that like when you're dealing with a movie like this or any kind of script structure where you're jumping around multiple groups of people, and especially when you're dealing with something as intricate as like politics, having all these groups be very remarkable on their own is super important. Otherwise you start to go like, oh, who's this guy in a suit? Oh, who's this guy in a suit? What does he want? All these different groups of people fighting over the rights were all super memorable.
Yeah.
Yes.
And carved out their own niche that they never got muddled, which is super important.
I'm not great at like remembering names from movies a lot of times, but yeah, like it was very distinctive. Like you knew who wanted what, who was on whose team, who was gunning for what. There, things were definitely heightened for the sense of drama. There was definitely a lot of sort of like, like leaning into a little bit of cartoonish villainy for the like Russian agents like threatening people's lives and stuff like that, but not necessarily, like a little bit dramatized, but not
still plausible.
The most dramatized. Listen, if
still plausible given the circumstances.
The number one cause of death among Russian oligarchs is falling out of a window. So, I mean, they're allowed to be a little cartoonishly evil in our depictions of them in cinema.
Yeah.
But the thing I really dug the most, though, was, I think this is my favorite cinematic interpretation of game development I've ever seen, like on screen. Probably barring like
Grandma's Boy.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
Straight to jail.
Fuck you.
Like,
it's for you. I think it's the devil.
I think we talked about this a little bit when we watched the new Matrix, where we were just like all you had to do was make them a series of movies that Keanu Reeves's character starred in and make it that kind of meta commentary. It didn't need, like, the fact that it was video games was so fucking stupid and clearly smacked of, like, we have no idea what the fuck video games are. So, yeah. But this movie very clearly did know what the fuck video games were, and also clearly had a lot of love for it.
It treated them as important.
Yes, exactly. I was a little bit worried with a couple of details that maybe I personally thought smacked of, like, okay, maybe a little bit of ignorance on like one or two things, but I apologize because clearly that was my ignorance instead. So, but yeah, like ultimately I think that it's a really solid flick. It's very fun. I think it's definitely up there with like Social Network. I hope it gets the kind of praise that Social Network gets. I don't think it will, because
It was getting
still
it was getting a lot of like at least critical praise, but like we'll see
Mhm.
come awards season who the fuck.
Yeah, I
knows.
mean, I would doubt that it would get that much compared to.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. People are still downers about like movies being streaming movies and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
it got a nomination at South by Southwest for something, but
oh, cool.
once it gets to like major award season, yeah, who
I-
knows how it'll be received.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like even though I don't want this to be the case, I feel like Hollywood's gonna kind of forget about it.
Oh,
Damn.
probably, yeah.
Yeah,
I would
that's-
love
But
to
you
be
shouldn't
wrong.
forget about it, folks. Go watch it.
Yes.
Yeah, go watch Tetris.
Yeah, you'll have fun at least.
Speaking of video games, though, hey Hecate, what are your 3 favorite video games of all time?
Oh
Hey, what a
shit.
segue.
Ta-da.
Okay,
Yeah.
so boy, I think we will start with the most obscure. It's not actually too terribly obscure, but I played a shitload of this when I was a little kid, and it really inspired my love. I think in particular of like ancient technology and like precursor civilizations. It's Mega Man Legends 2.
Nice.
Oh
This
my
was
God.
1997.
Oh my
Let's see,
God.
when did
Like
this
that.
bitch come out?
It's
Yeah.
it's disgusting how it's disgusting to me how little you and my husband talk with how much you have in common because holy you mentioned Mega Man to this man and he is gonna like I will never see you again because he will want to talk to you for 30 days.
Yeah. Okay, my apologies. Mega Man, the original. Sorry, I just want to clarify for the record. Mega Man Legends, the first one came out in '97. The second one came out in 2000. Yeah, I mean, I
Ooh,
fucking
okay.
love Mega Man. I grew up.
Amazing.
This is a spoiler for a later video game in my favorite 3, but like the run and gun platformer kind of thing, especially a lot of games that Capcom in particular made, really influenced just the kinds of things I enjoy to play. That said, Mega Man Legends 2 is a 3D like action game with RPG elements. It's not a run and gun. It's not. There's some platforming elements, but for me, it's like a 10-hour game. I've probably played it 10 or 15 times straight through. I love it to death. I'm not gonna go too much into the gory details of it, but like you play as Mega Man, but like there's like everybody on Earth is who built the robots like Mega Man, and you go into old ruins and like find ancient technology, and it's simultaneously like the ancient technology has reawakened because people can't stop fucking around in old ruins, which is like a message I always appreciate. Yeah, like don't maybe don't touch the sacred artifacts actually. And as also like Mega Man's past itself is like expanded upon because he's from this ancient civilization. Anyway. And then you end up going to space. I think kind of you go to the moon sort of thing, and you fight. You fight the ancient people, and it also had like for me what was the most terrifying enemy, which was like I'm still traumatized by this, like enemies that like fucking come out of the ground and like grab onto you and like suck your life away. Anything in that. So that I still walk on the sides of corridors whenever it is applicable.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Yeah.
So that one is great. It's much older. And then I've probably put like 1,000+ hours into all of the Soulsborne games. I think strictly speaking of them, like Bloodborne is the tightest, but for me the most like important and why it's my number 2 favorite is the original Dark Souls. Not DS2. I've technically played DS2 the most, but that game is.
I thought because you had the teaser for like Run and Gun, I thought you were gonna say like Armored Core or something, and I was bracing myself for Lee to freak out at you.
I mean, okay, so the thing is that like Armored Core when I thought about this list, Armored Core was a really, really close candidate. And I think I mean, okay, so like we should fucking talk about this because I think that like you see Miyazaki's design, like his through line as a designer, like really coming into its own with the Armored Core series. I mean, I think he really polished it a lot with DS2, where it's like this build customization and flexibility, and you can approach the game in so many different ways, and how you kit out your character really impacts how you approach certain things, and certain kits will work well in certain fights and certain won't, whatever. Like Armored Core is clearly the foundation of that.
He's got a great sense of incorporating stats into RPG blocks that are very unique. You know, the Souls franchise has become very well known for like the intricate little ways in which the stats operate, like on an incremental level. And Armored Core did start all that with like, hey, I'm going to build my big dumb giant robot and put all this cool stuff on it. He's like, cool. Are you going to put a big cooling system in it? Because it's going to overheat. And it's like, wait, I have to give a shit about that? He's like, oh yeah. Oh, you have to give a shit about that.
Yeah. Talk about that as like a predecessor to like, oh, like weight actually matters, but not in like the Skyrim sense of, you know, you need to drop your 600 cheese wheels and then you're fine.
Once you get one cheese wheel over, you're suddenly like crawling on the ground eating gravel.
We're not going to talk about Demon Souls doing that. He regrets that.
Listen, Demon Souls is just Dark Souls 0.5.
Oh, I know. I love Demon Souls. It's my favorite Souls game.
Oh yeah, that's. I mean.
Yeah, it's definitely the jankiest, but I think I kind of love it because of how janky and how experimental and wild and weird it is. Like I love the whole franchise, but just I like that sort of fucking wild cowboy game design aesthetic of just like I know nobody gives a shit higher up about this game because it's already considered a failure. So I'm just going to throw fucking everything at the wall and see what sticks, even if it might be a terrible idea, like World Tendency.
Yeah.
But player inventory load. So it's like, I picked up this item. Oh, I can't. It gets dropped. I need to fucking throw some shit out, otherwise I'm losing this item forever.
Yeah. Cat will tell you that
fucking crystal lizards. Fuck the crystal lizards. God damn it.
Oh my god, the crystal. Listen, that is a system. Cat will tell you though that I do love inventory management. It's just my little neurodivergent brain is really big on them.
Sure.
Lee, are you excited for the new Armored Core?
I can't wait.
I cannot.
Why he bought a PS5?
Yeah, when we were, I
literally
legitimately bought a PS5 just for Armored Core 6 and Street Fighter 6. Like that's all I bought it for.
Sure.
But yeah, like when we did a Gooncast episode on our 10 favorite games of all time, I had Silent Line on there.
Listen, that was, oh my god.
That was peak.
Didn't you have Didn't you have also Nine Ball on favorite?
Nine Ball's in my favorite antagonist list.
Yeah,
sure.
Nine Ball's a gigantic piece of shit. I love it.
And James asked which one, and Lee said yes.
Yes, absolutely.
They are legion, for they are many.
Silent Line. So I mean, in much the same way that Mega Man Legends 2 like really kicked off a lot of like my certain particular things about things I care about, like as a designer and as a like. I'm an AI programmer for context for listeners, but like for the kinds of things I want characters to do. But Silent Line simultaneously, when I think about like, I mean, honestly, pretty compelling like AI. Those arena fights in that game, I like beat my ass against those. I loved the arena. I thought those missions were so good. That soundtrack, it's everything. Silent Line's so goddamn good.
Yeah, that opening theme is one of my favorite pieces of video game music. And yeah, the enemy AI is great because like even when you're looking through the top ranking arena competitors and you're looking at their kits and their loadouts and you're like, wait a minute, this Shade guy at number 3, his kit is weak as hell. He's super light. He's got this like the third worst shotgun in the game. Like, why is he ranked 3 in the arena? And then he bodies you.
Yeah, you just get dumpstered
mercilessly.
Oh man. So to return to Dark Souls, because think about how much I discussed about like Silent Line. I like Dark Souls more than that. To be like, I love Silent Line, but Dark Souls for me, I think the thing, like my first playthrough, this is one of those games, you know, you talk about like I really want to play through it the first time again, and I don't feel that way about a lot of video games, but Dark Souls is one of those where like you just. The level design and the world, the physical structure of that level. I'm a very physical thinker, and so Dark Souls really like rewards you like, oh hey, this thing is connected to this thing, and this holy shit, this thing comes back to this thing, and you're constantly doing that in that game. And they get that a little bit with like, I mean, Elden Ring is very flat, and Dark Souls 3 is very flat, and Dark Souls 2 is very flat. Obviously, Demon Souls is like hub and spoke, but it's actually I think fairly vertical, and that's what I like about Dark Souls. The first one is how the world is like a sphere. You are just like going up and down and around, and like you're constantly looking down at a place you're gonna go to, or looking up at a place you were just at, and you have this sense of physicality and like
100%,
spatial.
100%.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
but, like the fact that Firelink Shrine, you can see like 7 different fucking areas that you will be at. And like
Yeah.
you could go all the way to the
Mhm.
fucking goddamn Blight Town and
Yeah.
see the fucking Cathedral Bell Tower from the
Yes,
bottom of
yeah.
Blight Town. It's so fucking
Yeah.
cool.
And then the fucking, I don't know how much I'm allowed to gush because I
Gush
but,
as
like,
much as you want.
Yeah, but this is your time.
It's Dark Souls.
Yeah.
It's Dark Souls. Listen, when you so my buddy came along, so I played this in undergrad, and I played at my buddy's dorm room, and like I just every day played like 3 or 4 hours of this for like a month, give or take, to get through. It was like 60, 70 hours to get through my first playthrough, because I just touched everything. I just like walked everything. I was like, I'm gonna find every item. I'm gonna touch it. I'm just gonna push on everything. I'm gonna fight every boss. I'm gonna do the DLC. And like the way not only that the world unfolds, but like parallel to this, that the story unfolds. I don't feel bad about spoiling Dark Souls. It came out in 2011. If you haven't played it, though, you should, because it's very important. But like,
Yeah.
you know, you're like, oh, hey, you're here in this fucked up asylum, and then you're like, oh, hey, go ring this bell, and then the guy's like, actually, there are 2 bells. Actually, the bells are really not that important. What's really important is this, and like this constant dragging along, and the way that you hear, you constantly are hearing it, like, Gwyn, who's this Gwyn guy, and then Gwyn turns out to be like, you know, around still, just everything. That is a game where you pull on one thread and it is connected to every single other thing, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Did it click with you right away, or was this something that it was an acquired taste?
I think, I mean, maybe it took me like a little bit, just because if you do have the control scheme is a little odd. But I think once I got into it, and I did have my buddy there to sort of handhold me through the weirder part, like, you know, the NPC dialogue options are infamously like, hast thou come to do what thou must to be, and yes or no, motherfucker, and it's like, yes, no, I don't know, like that's, but so he helped me through that stuff, but like other than that, I think I you know, after a couple hours, I was really flying along.
I remember when I first played it, I kind of hated it, kind of like Demon Souls, because I was very against the difficulty, and then eventually I got to this point where I was just like, no, I'm not going to let this fucking game break me. I'm going to fucking beat my head against this goddamn brick wall.
You got good,
and after, I don't know, like the first 8 to 10 hours, then it clicked. Like I think it was the moment I first backtracked from the cathedral, and I like hopped in the elevator, and it's like I met Firelink Shrine. I was like, oh, yes. This is a Metroidvania game. All right, I'm fucking down, baby.
Right after because that's right after you beat the Tower Knight that is guarding like I think it's a Titanite chunk, or not a chunk. It's something like the large Titanite shard there, and like you're like, what's this elevator? I guess I'll fucking touch it. And then and the thing is, because they don't have any music except for boss fights and a few crucial areas, you hear that Firelink Shrine music start, and you're like,
wait, what? What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, I love that game. I think, you know, in terms of mechanics, and Kat, you and I have talked about this endlessly. One of my least favorite things is, you know, Dark Souls is a game about like memorizing your animations and your opponent's animations, and you have the stamina bar so you can't spam animations. And so it's positioning and animation memorization. So it's like, can you project like 3 or 4 seconds in the future for where your sword's going to be if you swing, and where their arm or horrifying tentacle thing is going to be when they swing. And games that just copy the like positioning and stamina bar really get me down. It's like, you can't have Dark Souls without having these really high quality combat animations and having that be the central challenge for the player. If you just have the stamina bar, if you do like what Lords of the Fallen did, which is like kind of this like circle strafey like bonk, you have a stamina, like it makes me really sad, because like you feel you copied the UI and the interface, and you didn't get like the soul, like the guts of
and even the character design thing, because like everything in Dark Souls, or even anything Miyazaki makes for the most part, is very methodical, right? Like all the character designs are very clear and distinct. Whereas like in something like Lords of the Fallen, everything feels very over designed, which is a problem with, I think, a lot of games trying to be like cool and or edgy. So it's like, it's a bit more difficult to read animations
Yeah.
or determine which enemy is stronger. I'm much more a fan of like the simpler, striking character designs as opposed to somebody who looks like their body is a magnet and they rolled through a junkyard and they have
Yeah.
like all these different pieces of armor that just
Mhm.
don't mesh, and it's
Yeah.
hard to kind of read their attack pattern or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, Dark Souls is very elegant, and it's just like, hey, this guy might be a little boring, but you can tell he's stronger than this guy because such a detail.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
tell a Black Knight is a fucking big dick motherfucker because they're tall and they have a menacing looking armor and they got a big ass goddamn weapon.
And you've only seen one of them so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Anyway, that game is stunning and incredible. Actually, a fun fact about my first playthrough of that is I wanted to go for the Link the Fire ending, but didn't realize I was supposed to like interface with Kiln of the First Flame Fire, so I accidentally walked out and got the
The Dark Lord.
Age of Darkness ending, but I didn't know who any of the characters were because I hadn't really paid attention to that plotline. So I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" And then credits rolled.
Yeah.
So
I also love
yeah.
how the endings of that game can be completely reinterpreted just based on one side quest.
absolutely. Oh, and the PvP is good, and just fuck everything. I love Dark Souls. Okay, so that's my second favorite game. And then in getting back to sort of the run and gun thing, and this is a game that I kind of consider to be, I mean, I don't consider it to be like the best game of all time, but I consider it to, by and large, be fairly without flaws for what it does. I think it really nails the execution. Is Cuphead.
Good
I-
pick.
Very nice pick.
Yeah. I think, so I was in indie dev before I was AAA, and I really appreciate they're not, I think, strictly speaking, indie anymore, but like, I really appreciated just the sheer, not to mythologize this too much and not to get too much into the game dev stuff, but like the sheer like love, especially for the animation style that they chose for Cuphead. Kat, I know you have a deep appreciation for how brutal that is.
Absolutely, yeah, and the fact that it's all hand done in an age where like we don't even do that for movies anymore is like that's insane. I will never touch the game because I can't stand the gameplay, but like I admire what they did.
Yeah. Cuphead's one of those where I bought it day one and I didn't realize it was a bullet hell game. So I don't really like bullet hell games because I'm terrible at them. But it's one of those games that it's not for me, but I fucking appreciate every aspect of that thing.
It's a game that drips passion.
I have given them money despite the fact that I never want to play it because I'm just like, I appreciate what you're doing. Keep doing it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure. Oh, actually, speaking of being sort of on the face what you are, I think this is another thing that I like about Dark Souls and Cuphead as well. And I think this is something that like a lot of people get wrong about Dark Souls, and which is, and Bloodborne's really good about this. The whole Soulsborne series, they are difficult, but I also feel that they are really like upfront about how they are going to be difficult and like what they are. Like the fact that the first boss is kind of like a wall that you run into, and Cuphead I think is kind of the same way. It's like, hey, we're just gonna kick your ass right out the gate, and that way you can just like put the game down now. I really appreciate a game which is very honest about how it wants the player to be challenged. And I think that Cuphead and Dark Souls both do that super well. Just as sort of like a connecting link there. I don't know, the soundtrack slaps super hard. Every boss fight pretty much in Cuphead is memorable. I think there are maybe one or two that like you kind of breeze past just because of the skills you've acquired. I think that the story is, I mean, they're not like really a story, but it's enough for you to like want to coast along. And yeah, I just, for an indie game made in Unity, it has really, really tight controls and really, really tight gameplay. And like this really like beautiful animation style that's always super clear about like how you are going to be punished. This is another game. I mean, you might see a trend here where like big animation tells are like a big thing. You know, this boss is going to do this like really big stretch before they go pow across the screen. It's kind of the same thing with Dark Souls. There are all these like really long tells before they do something counter to that.
Yeah,
I really appreciate that.
I always like that stuff. I feel like it's very clever. It's you know, I talked a little bit about this with when I talked about like or actually, I don't think I touched on it, but basically, like the difference for me between God of War and God of War Ragnarok was that like God of War had these Valkyrie fights where it was very cleverly designed. They were hard, but they all had very obvious tells, and like the progression of them was like each Valkyrie had a different move that had a different like set of moves that you kind of had to memorize, and then the queen just like fucking combined all of them, and you were like, okay, so going through all of her like 6 or 7 commanders was your training to fight her. And then they kind of didn't do that with like the Valkyrie equivalent in Ragnarok. They kind of just like they still had moves with tells, but they weren't as obvious or clear or like interesting as the Valkyrie tells. So it became much more of and also they did the like artificial inflate the difficulty by just like throwing a second guy in the fight. And it's just like, okay, sure. So yeah, I appreciate that a lot. I can see why you appreciate that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's the sort of thing that I really enjoy sort of about all 3 of these games is where like your build changes sort of what your character's move sets may be and what they can do. They change like the fundamental verbs and like the shape that you take up on screen or in the world. Like they change your volume, but they don't really change the fact that you are still ultimately responsible for the correct timing and the correct positioning. I really don't like games where this is one of the reasons I'm super averse to like JRPGs where the main challenge, the main progression mechanic is built into your characters. And this is me shitting on an entire beloved genre all in one go, so send your hate mail to the void. But like, I really want a game that challenges me to like learn the patterns of different enemies, and sort of all 3 of these games fit that bill very strongly. And Armored Core as well. Lee, don't think I've forgotten.
Oh, you can't forget.
I can't forget. I shan't forget.
No.
So yeah, those are 3 games that I've put a lot of hours into, and they are much beloved by me, and at least one of them is much beloved by, I guess 2 of them really are much beloved by many people. So
hell yeah, that's an excellent list.
Yeah,
truly shocked and disappointed that RuneScape isn't on there.
Okay, so listen, I was gonna save RuneScape for the "What are you doing in your spare time" section because my relationship with RuneScape is complicated.
What a segue!
Yeah, what a segue then.
Well, but before we dip into what we've been doing for the time since our last episode of the Gooncast,
Is it what is Lee has been drinking?
No, Lee, don't put that in your body.
Oh my god.
So on this edition of No, Lee, Don't Put That in Your Body, I have in my hands what used to be prime real estate.
Oh.
And I quite literally mean prime. I'm holding a can of Logan Paul's Prime energy drink.
Oh no.
Okay.
So let me tell you about this.
Stop
Though
it.
this broke the internet, it was sold out everywhere when it came out. Cases of it were I'm sorry, not even cases, like 12 packs of them were being sold for like $400 online or more. And now that a little bit of the hype has died down, your boy got his hands on one. This is the blue raspberry flavor. Let's listen in close here. Crispy.
I didn't even hear it open.
I didn't pick up any of it.
It smells like, oh god, it smells like cotton candy and the dislike button.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Going in.
Fucking hell.
Oh no. Oh god.
Oh
god.
Horrifying.
That tastes like a pixie stick dissolved into battery acid.
Oh god.
Sprayed with a little aftershave.
Is it specifically Logan Paul's aftershave?
I have not licked the man, so I'm not certain. I believe this does taste like the cheek of Logan Paul.
Does it taste like exploding dead bodies in a forest?
Yeah.
That might be the other flavor. Honestly, in terms of energy drinks, it is not bad. It is not worth the hype. it's also because of my better lifestyle lately. This is the first energy drink I've had in like 3 months.
Mm.
So I don't think this is going to affect my body very well.
Oh god.
All right, well,
Oh, no.
If I die, blame Logan Paul.
I gotta get you on. I want you to try my favorite G Fuel. They do sell it in a can.
Oh lord.
Which one's that?
It is sour blue chug rug. It's like a
Whoa.
sour blue raspberry, but it's not too sour. It's actually it's
Okay.
pretty mild in terms of like sour stuff. But it's
Okay.
really, really, really good. I'd love to hear this on No Lee, don't put that in your body.
Okay, I'll keep my eyes open so I can poison myself with it in the near future.
Yeah, I'll maybe send you a can if I can.
I'm so glad you're looking out for me, brother.
Hey man, I know you've been getting up at like, 1:30 fuck, and you go to bed at old man hours. You need
Yes.
that energy.
This is true.
Yeah. So I guess segue, Hecate, tell us about RuneScape, I guess.
Oh man, I just want to start.
Yes.
Listen, I'm glad everybody's really hype about RuneScape. I want to start off by saying that I don't listen to podcasts, period. So I only hang out with the goons, like Quag goons, as people. I had no idea there was a segment called "No Lee, don't put that in your body." So
It doesn't happen often, but occasionally
No,
when it
I
does.
was
it's the
actually-
best.
I was actually going to, if nobody else segued into the Hecate's top 3, I was going to say like, sometimes we do this like when we have guests, similar to Lee, don't put that in your body. It's a very rare,
It's an occasion.
Rare
it's an
occurrence.
event.
Yeah,
I'm really
so
glad
I'm-
I got to see it.
yeah.
I mean, I'm
the-
sorry for you and like your future, but like,
Yeah, I'm sorry for you in the next 24 hours, but
Yeah.
It's better than the time that I drank the C4 energy that was flavored
Oh.
like Swedish fish.
God,
Yeah,
God,
oh
Yeah.
god.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
good
Yeah.
lord.
Okay, so what have I been doing lately? So I've been playing a lot of old school RuneScape. Some of you may be.
Particularly old school.
I do not play
RuneScape.
RuneScape 3, so
Yes.
for a little bit of context. So for those of you who did play RuneScape when you were like, if you are my generation-ish, when you were like in the 6 to 12-year-old range in the aughts, RuneScape 3, which was the like original fork of the game, continued development, but I feel like sometime in the mid 2010s, I can't remember the exact year, they're like, oh yeah, we just happen to have like a 2007 server backup of the original game. And everyone was like, haha, wouldn't it be funny if you like ran a couple servers using the like 2007 backup? And they were like, sure, whatever, because every now and then Jagex is like, this is the company that publishes it and runs it. They do nice things, so they started that, and then it was super popular, and so they continue to develop it alongside of the other RuneScape, and it's a vastly better game, I think, although there are some redeeming qualities with the other game, but it's just not for me. But it is a low poly point and click medieval game where you
Hell yeah.
are at the mercy of some brutal exponential experience curves. Kat is painfully aware of the detailed action
Privy
plan
to
I
a
have.
lot of stuff.
To a lot of no context.
You have an arch nemesis who is a rock,
Oh,
but
yes.
also a god.
Yeah, Lucian's chat model. The game
Uh-huh.
doesn't have very many polygons to spare, so all the characters look blocky.
Just every once in a while, I will get a message on Discord that's just like detailing this random aspect of RuneScape that I have no context for, and I'm always like, "Is that good?"
You're
Usually
a really
it's
good
me
friend.
Going, ooh.
A number goes up and you clap me on the back, and I appreciate that.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
So
there
I've
were,
been playing
there
a
were
lot
bird eggs getting harvested. There was carrying a bunch of barrels that had to get
Oh.
redone.
of yeah. I did have to turn coal tar into naphtha gas. So I've been playing RuneScape. I think the other thing, if we can talk about like other media,
Mhm.
I get in there.
I have been reading the Finder compiled volumes, which is just an absolute fever dream of a graphic novel. So if you are looking to have your brain just turned inside out by like indigenous science fiction, I think is the way it gets described. It's a really, really good soft sci-fi graphic novel that is the other thing that has been like fucking my brain up. So those are probably the two things that have been getting my goat lately.
Well,
Nice.
there's a couple other things you were introduced to. I don't know if you want to mention them, like Exorcist 3 and Omen and Zach Bagans.
Oh
and
god.
Zach Bagans.
Yeah, so I think that's true. So yeah, the other thing is that I've attended a number of the Goon watch parties, but I feel like I have had some really good ones. I mean, Mithrigan was that's the whole the rest of the episode, and Tetris, but Malignant absolutely slaps. Please again, like that's it's just the Goons were all like, oh, it's really good, we don't want to overhype it, and then I watched it, I was like, no, you all undersold this. Like this movie was just like an incredible experience. And then I watched The Exorcist 3. I've never seen any of the other Exorcists, and I'm told I shouldn't see the second one.
No.
Really, don't do it.
Unless it's like a riff watch party.
Sure.
Don't do it.
And then I saw The Omen, which I do distinctly remember from my childhood when they did the 2006, because it was released on the 6th of June, 2006.
Yep.
Yes.
Remake, which you all tell me is bad, so I believe you. But
it's
just a soulless remake, kind of like a
it's
shot
very
for shot
soulless.
type thing.
Yeah. It's Julia Stiles is the
Julia
mom
Stiles is the mom. I think Lee
That's weird.
Schreiber.
Yes, Lee Schreiber is the dad. Yes.
Yeah.
That's
and
weird.
it was just kind of like,
Is it better than Vince Vaughn in Psycho?
It's
Yes,
less
but
offensive
Okay.
than Vince Vaughn
barely.
is in Psycho. Yeah.
But only barely. Okay.
Yeah. I remember
Copy
the
that.
Kid, I remember the kid being like suitably creepy, but
Yeah. I mean,
otherwise, like the scene where the first babysitter like jumps off the roof and kills herself for Damien is like comical in the 2006 one.
yeah. I mean, there's
all for you, Damien. And then,
there's theories. I mean, the one thing I guess I could give the Vince Vaughn Psycho, and this is the only thing I can say that's positive about the Vince Vaughn Psycho, is that allegedly, or at least long rumored, Gus Van Sant knew this was a terrible idea and strictly signed on to it to showcase why it's a terrible idea.
Yeah. I also heard like he basically he took the bullet so no one else would essentially. And just being like, don't ever fucking do this again because I will taint the idea of remaking this so hard that no one will try it again. In my lifetime.
Whereas
Fascinating.
like the Omen remake, which is also as far as I'm aware, a mostly shot for shot remake that uses the original script just like the Psycho remake, didn't have that and was much more of a director for hire project and just more of a soulless Hollywood thing. It's less offensive than the Psycho remake, but possibly, if the theory is accurate, the Psycho remake came from a better place. It's terrible, but
it is, yeah. But
Question.
it's also like
About the Omen, the 1976 Omen, not the 2006.
Yeah.
So repeatedly throughout the film, like he's born on the 6th of June at 6 a.m. This is like canonical or whatever. But also the movie was released in 1976, but they keep saying 5 years ago. Why did they not say just pick a year? Like it's giving Mega Man like 20XX. Like I don't understand why they did this. That was like
they wanted it to be timeless, baby.
I mean, okay.
It's not though.
It's not. I mean, look, it's better than like, as much as I love Escape from New York, right? It's better than Escape from New York being set definitively in the year 1999, where it's like you kind of look back on it, it's like, this is cute that you thought like technology or whatever would get to this point or whatever, right? Or like Blade Runner, it's set in I think 2018. And it's like, we've reached that point, and we're not living with Atari logos everywhere.
I mean,
that we're living with other logos.
Tetris, apparently, or those chips.
Yeah,
go us.
But more importantly, you did get slightly introduced to Zach Bagans.
Oh yes, sorry, I did for
the most important thing.
Listen,
introduced you to.
The man with the Lego character haircut.
That's a shark fin. Show some respect.
Yeah.
Well, but listen, the way it's cut, Cat, is it looks like it's just like a hat.
Lee, we discovered he's a musician last night.
Oh, okay. Those songs were really.
Oh my god.
They were really something else.
Oh, he's so multi-talented.
All right. So
Well, the funniest thing is the fact that his music is
It sounds-
it's carbon copy from like that video that Cat's friend made.
It sounds like the parody that my friend made in college that we also listened to, the "Dude My Body" video.
My body.
It's
Yeah.
just like instrumental
Go right through my
dubstep
body.
or metal set to clips from Ghost Adventures.
Yep.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
just it's like wow.
A
I
man
love
who's a caricature of himself, for
Yeah.
sure.
I can't believe he did that, and I'm really mad that we didn't like copyright it.
You gotta. I don't know if you have yet. You should message your friend Kat and be like, "Are you aware of this?
You know what?
Can
The
you sue
thing
for
is,
royalties?"
the thing is, like, as Lou was mentioning it, as we were talking about this, I had extreme deja vu because I'm pretty sure that she did message me and she was like, "Oh my God, Zach Baggins makes music now, and it's exactly like our song."
Beautiful.
Because like, I just had very intense like, wait, I've seen this before, and yeah.
Beautiful.
Are there any Zach Baggins video games? I feel like he
Oh
should
my
do
God,
that.
he needs to play Phasma with us.
That's
That's
what I've
the
been trying to
video
get.
game.
That's
That's
what
the video game crossover we deserve.
Absolutely.
I've been tweeting at the man every week for the last like 3 or 4 weeks, asking him if he'll play
He's been
fast.
tweeting like mad.
I believe it. He should, though. It'd be fucking amazing.
Yeah,
He'll
I-
have to listen to us eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
James
What
Wan
else
got
is
your
he
letters.
doing?
Zach Baggins should get your letters, too.
Yeah, and I mean, and
Absolutely.
I'll fucking kiss his ass if it gets him on the stream. Fuck it. I want to play
Yeah.
Phasma with Zach
Yeah.
Baggins.
Yeah. We
I
will
will
all
be-
kiss his ass.
I
Are you
will be
kidding me?
unironic. I will be like genuine Ghost Adventures fan for like however many hours he'll grant me. I'll
Yeah,
fucking
no.
sell out for Baggins.
We no mention of the podcast. Certainly no mention of the Demon House podcast.
No, of course
No,
not.
no mention of the watch parties. Just who and the only people who are allowed to like come ghost hunt with us that night are the people that have agreed to be cool about it.
Yeah,
So,
no,
know-
the things we say have to fully endorse the bullshit that he's
Yes.
been spouting.
I-
Like, dude,
I will
I
put
feel so
chat in
bad for
emote
you,
chat.
man. That
Yeah.
night that demon took your eyesight away,
Yeah.
Yes.
I
that
will
was
put
unjust.
I will put the chat in emote chat just to make sure
It
nobody's
was-
talking shit to Zach.
Yes. It was definitely a 10 on the demonic scale for sure.
Yeah.
Dude, that was so awful that you had to fire that camera guy who was possessed and totally not having a heroin overdose that needed to be addressed.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Good lord.
He wasn't a
Oh.
meth addict at all.
Yeah.
All right. Who's next? Who's
All
got?
right, I'll open fire.
Yeah.
Let's see what's been going on with me. I cannot remember if I mentioned it on the last pod, so I'll say it on this one. I watched Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Oh,
You did not.
You said
Yo.
you were going to.
Yo, this movie fucks.
I hear it's good.
Interesting.
This movie is really good. I watched it out of just like just because of like the little gifs and stuff I was seeing. Like I would just see occasional little gifs of it. And I'm like, okay, I haven't given a fuck about anything in this franchise since like Shrek 2.
Mm-hmm.
But okay. So the missus and I started watching it, and it's just one of those movies that you can't phrase it any other way than this has no right to be this good. Just really tight story, really great characters. They've always been able to play super well off of the classic formula of like take traditional fairy tale and folklore characters and put a funny twist on them. So this one's got, Goldilocks and the Three Bears as like bounty hunters, which is fantastic. A character voiced by John Mulaney, who's one of the villains, whose whole gimmick is he's like a collector of MacGuffins from different fairy tales. So like he has a bag of tricks of just literally all the bullshit from all the fairy tales, which is great. And maybe one of my favorite characterizations of the Grim Reaper in a long time.
Yeah.
And it's so good. Again, the movie has no right to be as good as it is. I fucking loved it.
So Lee, I'm gonna get a little spicy on our on our catch up, which like never
Okay.
fucking happens, and say that my husband and I actually did not like The Last Wish.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
I think I agree with you on like all of the like basically all of the clips that people have been showing on YouTube or on Twitter or wherever. Like the Grim Reaper wolf is amazing. The fight scene with like the first troll is really good.
Oh, the Attack on
And
Titan sequence.
the Attack on Titan sequence is great, and a couple of other things. But there was a lot about the movie that Will and I were just very frustrated by. It kind of had a lot of the art direction was a very mixed bag, and knowing a little bit about like the background of the movie, which I don't know if I can actually like get super into, or the background of the development for the movie, like it makes sense to me why it is that way, but it's also like it was really frustrating for us to watch because like Will was sitting there being like, this looks terrible, or like this looks really bad, or like, you know, and we just didn't dig the script either. We thought it felt like a TV, like the first 3 episodes of TV show instead of a feature script.
It felt like back in the day how they would do like unnecessary Disney sequels.
Yes,
Like,
that's what it felt like.
We didn't need Return of Jafar.
Yes, exactly.
But I felt like this was if I liked Return of Jafar.
I liked Return of Jafar.
And you know what? I'm glad you enjoyed it. I do feel like Will and I are in an extreme minority here because I feel like everyone and their mother fucking loves this movie. So I'm fully willing to admit that like maybe there's something people are seeing that I just don't see and I just am not gonna ever see. But yeah,
No, that's
I wanted because I remember I think you mentioned it either on the last podcast or on the podcast before that you had seen it, and I really wanted to talk to you about it because I was interested to see what you would think. And yeah, like I adored the sequences where with Puss in Boots like dealing with his like panic attacks about death coming after him and the confrontations with death. Absolutely phenomenal. And then everything else around the movie was like, I was like, I don't need the fucking Goldilocks and the Three Bears shit. I really didn't care about John Mulaney's villain character. I was just like, he's whatever. He felt like a TV show villain. Like it felt very much like a TV level script. In terms of like, you know, whatever. I know I'm being very, very harsh right now, but I was just like, I don't get it.
No, hell no, preach your truth. Preach your truth.
And I'm also not saying that like TV stuff can't be really good, but there is somewhat of a gulf between like really good animated scripts that are feature and really good animated scripts that are TV shows. And TV shows have a much wider like, you know, like you tend to get sort of like where it's a kids show and we're just doing kids show things. And I feel like that's the first Puss in Boots movie was like reviled for that. Because it did feel like it was just like, you know, a spin-off of a spin-off and it should have just been like a, you know, whatever, straight to DVD. But it weirded me out because I'm like, this feels like that too, to me.
As someone who hasn't seen it, I will always encourage dissent on the Gooncast because I love our Candyman episode. And how,
oh my god.
How divisive we were.
I was the only one that like kind of liked it. And
well, no, like, Lee was a bit on your side.
You.
It was me and Mike versus you and Lee.
Oh yes, that's right. Which actually, no, never mind. That's the opposite happened for Kaguya Best Girl.
Oh yeah. The Kaguya Best Girl was. I'm Hayasaka. Yeah, we're the only time you were outnumbered.
Chica all the way. God damn it.
The only time you were outnumbered was on the yearly recap.
I know. God damn it. I gotta call in Ghoul Guts every time.
Well, you know, we got
he's a lifeline.
Yeah, well, we can reignite the discussion with the new Kaguya that dropped when we discuss it.
So let's see what else. I've been digesting a lot of content for an interest of mine that I have not yet brought up on the Gooncast. I am a big fan of competitive bodybuilding. And I have been going down a deep rabbit hole, rewatching footage and documentaries of my favorite bodybuilder, Kai Green. He is a 3-time Arnold Classic champion, 3 times the runner-up at the Mr. Olympia. And what I love about this guy so much is he pisses a lot of people off in the bodybuilding world who are like purists. and he's all about making like entertaining posing routines like set to music, and like he does like pop and lock dances while he's doing his poses, and he wears like extravagant costumes that he makes himself with like masks and like leather, like almost like bondage predator shit. And it's just like, yo, what the fuck is this guy? And I find him as an artist so fascinating. Like, I'm one of those people who really appreciates like the human body as a piece of organic art. And he is this guy who wants to take that to the next level of like of inspiration. Like when he's doing his prep, you know, when you watch bodybuilding shit, everyone's like, oh, here's what I'm eating and here's my workout. And then like in Kai's shit, he's got a sketch pad and he's like doing life art of like outfits he wants to do and like
God,
planning
that's
his
awesome.
poses. And then like he goes to like ballet and he goes to like improv acting classes, and they're like, this is training for the Mr. Olympia. He's like, hell yeah, this is training for the Mr. Olympia. So I love this dude, and I've been watching a bunch of his shit. And then the last one,
real quickly,
yeah,
I have to ask because this is like tangentially related.
Yeah.
Have you watched Physical 100 on Netflix?
I'm about halfway through it.
Okay, all right. I won't say anything then because I was like, as you were talking about it, I was like, oh, I need to hear Lee's thoughts on that show.
I got halfway through it, and then I unsubscribed from Netflix, so I need to get back to watching it. But yeah, I got through the sand competition. I haven't gone beyond the sand carrying.
Okay, cool.
But I love it. I love Physical 100.
Yeah. I figured
I'm a big fan.
I figured you'd dig it.
I can't remember the guy's name, but like the middle-aged MMA fighter who's just always swagged out.
He is the best.
The drip god. Yeah, he's my favorite.
Yes.
And then the last thing I've kind of been up to like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago was WrestleMania, so I got to scratch my pro wrestling itch. It's a 2-day event now. Day 1 fucking slapped. Day 2 was a creative nightmare with like tech issues and questionable writing choices. But a great main event between the reigning world champion Roman Reigns and my boy, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I started a prayer circle for him on Discord and it didn't work.
Sorry, we're godless.
It's okay.
You know that.
It's okay. But yeah, that's kind of where I've been at. I've been digesting a lot of like my weird flavor of the sporting world of bodybuilding and pro wrestling. So that's what I've been up to.
Awesome. Well, my list is going to be, I think, comparatively short because I've kind of been pretty swamped this last little while. I have been. So the big thing that I was finishing, which I think I'm not going to talk about now because I think we're planning a future podcast around it possibly. I finished Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Yeah, I've done a lot of more Resident Evil 4 Remake since the last podcast, and I'm saving it for our episode with shout out to Renzi. Where we're gonna be discussing that game and just in general video game remakes.
I was gonna say possibly the Paul Anderson movies too, or is that a separate?
That's gonna be a separate thing. I think we'll have enough things to talk about with normal
that's
game
true,
remakes and the Paul Anderson movies. I think we need to split those up into 2 separate episodes. Otherwise, we're talking about 6 films.
Yeah, agreed.
It's gonna be a tall order swap.
But so then the other thing that I've been doing, Sherlock Holmes: The Awakened released on this Tuesday. So this is a game I have been awaiting for quite a while, actually. Actually, this is one that would be perfect to talk about next time we do next time we podcast or whenever we do the remake podcast, because this is a remake of a 2006 game. And so far I'm loving it so much. I just yeah, I love Frogwares. I love that like I think so much of my appreciation of them comes from the fact that they like have continued improving by leaps and bounds, like game to game, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I think The Awakened might be the first one that's like not as big of a leap from chapter 1, but also they're in Kiev and they're getting like shelled daily. So I think we can cut them a little fucking slack.
Yeah, they get a pass.
Yeah.
But
I'm
between
just
COVID
genuinely,
and a fucking war,
yeah,
I can only
I'm like,
imagine the shit that they're going through.
yeah, the fact that they started development on this like after the Russian invasion and have just been like really pouring their hearts into this, and I'm just like fucking bravo. Like I'm so proud of the, like I don't know any of them. I have no fucking affiliation. I donated to their Kickstarter. I just support them so much. I'm just like, I love what you're doing. I'm so proud of you guys. I want more of these games to exist. Like I want just, and they've been fucked over in so many ways before with the whole Sinking City debacle too. With their like publisher bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, I'm just like, keep at it, guys. So yeah, I'll talk about that more in detail probably at a later podcast, because I also haven't finished the game yet. I think I'm on like the second to last chapter.
Very cool.
But I'm very close.
I'd like you to digest it, because I always like hearing you go into your opinions of that series. So
I'm probably gonna play it a second time, like immediately after I finish, because I'm like, I know already like different things that I want to try to do that I haven't done yet. So yeah, I'm very excited. And then last but not least, James and Lee introduced me to Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust on Friday.
Yes.
Yeah. And my thought, very succinctly, my thoughts can be summarized with probably some of the most gorgeous looking animation I've ever seen, both in terms of the character designs are gorgeous, the animation itself is gorgeous, the background art is like a league of its own. I'm probably like, I don't think I've ever seen background art as beautiful and like breathtaking as this stuff.
Oh yeah,
It's
your
good.
reaction when they got to Carmela's castle was just like, okay, stop everything.
Yeah, I was genuinely just like, holy fuck. And also it highlighted for me the importance of audio mixing.
Yeah.
We'll get into a lot of that at some point, but like,
I guess I won't get too into it, but it's
audio mix is terrible, and the version we had no subtitles, so Kat was completely lost on the plot.
Yeah. I mean, I could follow pretty much everything that was like a scene with action. Like they a lot of visual storytelling happened that I could keep up with, where I was like, okay, I understand that he's coming to her to talk about this thing, or like that this thing is probably happening. But then there were scenes where it was like talking heads, and I was genuinely just like, I have no idea why this turned into a shootout, because I have no idea what was just fucking talked about.
Yeah, and that's when you get around to rewatching it, those talking head scenes are like usually some of the best of the movie.
Yeah.
As much as it is like, oh yeah, it's a vampire bounty hunter and a team of mercenaries and they've all got cool weapons. It's like the best scenes in that movie are just like Layla and Dee talking about like how shitty life is.
Yeah.
And I will never get tired of laughing at Dun Peel.
Dun Peel.
Yeah.
You're just a fucking Dun Peel hunter.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, what is a Dun Peel hunter?
I need some context.
This is the only word that I keep picking up when they're talking, and I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, and then when I told you about it, you were like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's great.
For those of you not
damn
know,
fair.
They translated the word dampier in English to Japanese and then back to English, and it got translated to Dun Peel.
Yeah, it's great. Okay.
So just drug bag fuck.
Drug bag fuck.
Drug bag.
Drug
fuck.
bag fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess on the segue of shit
Yep.
that we can't really talk about too much because it's future Gooncast stuff.
Uh-huh.
Again, I mentioned I've been playing more Resident Evil 4. I have
Mhm.
opinions.
Yeah.
I'll get to
me
those
too.
opinions when we discuss the thing.
Oh baby, can't wait.
There's another one where similarly I was an impatient fuck and I watched Kaguya First Kiss.
No!
I'm not gonna say anything about it outside of just
You
I watched it
monster.
subbed. I mean, it's fitting.
That's shitty.
I watched the whole thing subbed before you guys saw it. I couldn't wait. God damn it! I've been waiting forever. But I'm not saying a thing on it.
Okay.
And then the last thing is
We're waiting for the dub, right?
yes, we're waiting for the
Okay.
dub because you guys want to see it dubbed.
We love the narrator.
The last thing is I played Demonologist, which is the new Phaz clone.
Oh.
It's
It's a new thing?
Yeah, it just came out like a week or two ago.
Okay.
It is brand new. It basically is just Phaz, but in a different engine. With it has some of the Phaz clone things where it has too many fucking ghost types. And some quirks with the mechanics that are a little wonky. I do appreciate that every single one of the tools has its own unique design as compared to like all your typical Phaz clone shit. Like the EMF reader is actually this hodgepodged piece of shit homemade thing that is powered by a cockroach for some reason, which is kind of neat. It's a little too grindy in terms of how much money equipment costs and how much money you get per contract and how much experience you get per contract and what's locked behind X level and everything like that. But one of the things that it does that is kind of unique that I think is really cool is it has a lot of Easter eggs that are tied to voice detection. I'm not entirely sure the purpose of a lot of them yet, but like, for example, the abandoned house map, if you go into a specific room and look at a specific object in, say, Victoria, the room opens up and you get access to an additional room. And it's like, that's kind of cool. Or similarly, in the second map, there's a mirror in the bathroom, and if you say Bloody Mary 3 times at it, a jump scare happens. It's like, that's kind of cool. This is evolving the formula slightly. I've only played about 4 hours of it. It's definitely one of the better Phaz clones, but it's still not quite Phaz, but it is scratching that itch of, I want more Phaz, and Phaz isn't providing it because the content drip is way too fucking slow. But I've only had 4 hours of time with it. We'll see if it kind of lasts or if it's gonna fall off the wayside. It doesn't really have that more unique perspective that Obsidio had, where like Obsidio is far jankier, but the fact that like everything
or
evidence
like
Boomen or Forewarned, where it's like it's a lot more unique. This is it's not quite as say blatant of a Phaz ripoff as say Ghost Exile or even Ghost Watchers, where it has a high school that literally uses the exact same fucking assets as Brownstone High School.
Which like at the end of the day, it is an asset pack that people can use, but like, come on, y'all, we know what you're doing.
We know exactly what you're doing. Yeah. It's not quite to that level of just this is blatantly 1-to-1 just Phaz under a different name and some shittier mechanics. But it does have its own unique quirks that are either positive or negative, and I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on it to see if it evolves into something cool or if it just peters out like all the other bullshit. On also that note, I haven't played it recently, but like the that Ghost Hunters Core / Ghost Exorcism Inc., that first Phaz clone that we all played that was very janky and not very good. I haven't played it in years, and it's got a lot of updates, but I'm probably going to be touching it again soon because it just recently got an update that adds multiple entities on an investigation if you want to enable it. And it's like,
Oh.
that's something that a lot of people have been requesting for Faz or a Faz clone in a while, like multiple ghosts haunting a single location. And it's like, that sounds neat. I'm sure it's executed not very well here, but I'm curious to give it a try again.
Yeah.
That's the
Could be
spirit.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it should be pretty great. Should be great. And by great I mean terrible, you know. And anybody in the Discord or, you know, you two or anybody who has it who wants to give it a go, feel free to join me. I'm going to be revisiting it at some point. Cuz I want to see where all of these ghost games have come, how far they've gone since outside of like Faz and Forewarned and more recently Boomin. I've kind of like play it a couple times and then drop it because they're mostly very undercooked and just very clearly a rushed attempt at copying Faz.
I definitely feel like I want to play Booman again because it was really fun, and also that weird Exorcist one that was
Fade Retro,
clearly very unbalanced.
Yes,
but I think there could still be like some fun to be had.
Yeah, I want to give that another go. There's another PvP-esque game that I want to go at. Ideally, if we can get a full squad, which would require 8 people, called Midnight Ghost Hunt.
Yes.
I've only played that once, but it's pretty neat. It's basically like Ghost Prop Hunt, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that one definitely was like on my radar.
Yeah, it's I want to see where this genre goes outside of just let's copy Faz. And I love me some Faz, but its content trip is too slow. I loved me some Forewarned, but like one of the more recent issues that I've kind of had with Forewarned is they added this banishment ritual phase to the end. And like you can do it and you can get more experience and money by completing it. But it's really boring, and once you've done it once, it's like this is like it's just stand at an altar and wave a torch at spooky mummies or crocodiles to prevent them from touching the altar for like 2 minutes. And maybe 3 minutes if it's on hard. And it's like this is a neat idea, but it's very half-baked in its execution. I want to see more of this shit. I just don't want to see like, you know, fucking old booty bullshit over and over again.
That's true.
All right. Sounds like some potent things we've been up to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall we call it here?
Yeah.
I think in summary, Mithrigan Sorry,
Mid-Thregan.
Megan.
Mid-Thregan.
Mid-Thregan.
Tetris, excellent. And Lee, don't put that in your body.
No, dead ass. I feel
Core.
really shitty right now.
Oh no, Lee.
no.
I'm so sorry.
And also Hecate, your game choice is slap.
Are Hecate's bread and butter. So
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hecate, where can other people find you? If you want them to find you.
If you care to do so, you can find me on Twitter at yikes.gov. Oh, well, we fucked that one up.
Yeah,
Y-I-K-E.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. I can't spell. Y-I-K-E-S-D-O-T-G-O-V.
And also find you in RuneScape.
You can find me on RuneScape, but I will leave that one as an exercise to the reader what my IGN is. But I'm around. Pickpocketing Knights of Ardoin.
Yeah. All right. So I guess the sign out stuff.
I'm Kat, aka the Attack Cat. I might come back to Twitch, and I say that like every time we do a fucking podcast.
Yeah, it's been about a year and a half that.
The only thing that will bring me back is just like trying to garner more support for Frogwares. So I might be back just to be like, hey, I'm gonna platinum Sherlock Holmes The Awakened and come hang out with me and maybe donate money to like a Ukrainian charity or something. I don't know. That's the only thing that will bring me back.
Hell yeah. And this has been your boy, Lee Alder, the Valley Jester. Enjoy me while you have me until about June 3rd when Street Fighter 6 comes out, when I abandon all of my responsibilities to simp shamelessly for my girl Cammy. Then maybe you will catch me on Twitch with with my girl in the labs. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Some pro cami prep.
We'll
Spoilers,
see.
there might be a Street Fighter related podcast to celebrate the game / Lee's abandonment of us.
Yeah, I have until then to complete my master stroke, as I am calling it. A secret project. We will see if it is ready by then. But stay tuned, folks.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm James, also known as Saber0307. Obviously, if you're here, you know where to find me. I don't know why I pitch this shit anymore. You know where I am. Get fucked. Bye.
I need a hero.
I'm leaving that in.